to the No Practice Podcast, where we cover the only sport in the world where there is no practice. With your mini rod driving host, Adam Kester, Tyler Slaw, and Chase Richardson. Strap in for some debates on the world of pulling, exclusive special guests, and a whole lot of nonsense BS. The No Practice Podcast starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 40 of the No Practice Podcast, joined by my hosts, Mr. Chase Richardson and Adam Kester. This is my first time seeing Adam today, as he was logging on during the intro. Adam, you're here. You're looking good. Tractors are looking good behind you, freshly wrapped. How you been, buddy?
Oh, I'm busy, man. I'm feeling pretty good, though. Been busy. I had a chiropractor's appointment today. Kind of threw a glitch in the whole program, but
chiropractor.
We have completed tractors, and look to be shoving these in the trailer and doing some heading towards Nashville, Illinois tomorrow.
What kind of chiropractor work do you get done, Adam? This is a tell-all podcast.
Well, you guys would laugh if I told you, but
that's why we asked.
So I've been feeling a little pain in my shoulder. Probably all the tires have been grinding here lately, but felt a little pain in the shoulder, so I got a little work on it last week, and he taped up my arm and my shoulder area. He taped it up after he worked on it because it was really, really sore. And I have this really weird reaction to like tape and Band-Aids and stuff. So I let it on overnight knowing that what was going to happen. So the next morning I wake up, I was going to jump in the shower, and I go to start pulling the tape off, and I finally slept good for once, and I started pulling the tape off, and it like rips the skin off with the tape because it just like adheres to my body. And in the process of ripping my skin off while I was pulling the tape off, I pulled a muscle in my neck or in my back, and I couldn't hardly even breathe. It hurt so bad. So it's been a very uncomfortable couple of days, but nothing's going to stop us from going to a tractor pull.
You have one action lead to a reaction, basically.
Yeah, like he helped me out with my shoulder, and I took care of it. You know, I was doing whatever, and literally pulling tape off my chest. Tyler, and Chase, you'll soon find out. The older you get, you will hurt yourself doing the dumbest things.
Well,
and,
I really thought he was going to say, Tyler Chase, you're going to find out what it feels like ripping tape and wax off your chest.
No. Hey, that's a good. Hey,
more to come with that.
That's right. We don't know what we got to do yet. No, little chiropractic adjustments are good for the soul every now and then, and feeling recharged already. I'm ready for a good night of sleep. Honestly,
after the podcast, though, right?
Yeah, right. How about you guys? Sorry, that's enough about me. How you guys doing?
No, those chiropractors. There's this new trend, and I've only heard about it the last couple of months. That doesn't mean it's obviously been around. But have y'all heard of these stretch stores or whatever they call them?
No.
Stretch stores.
I mean, not stretch stores, but it's like basically it's not a chiropractor, but like if you're feeling like it's like a physical therapist and a chiropractor combined, like it's like a stretch gym. You go in there and someone just stretches the hell out of you, and it supposedly changes everything.
Yeah, I used to go to this guy, and it was called Fascia Works, and he was more like a chiropractor, just like, you know, lay on the table and crack the shit out of you, right? Like hurts, and your body's tense from being whatever. The guy would actually like massage, and then he would adjust you. And I did that for a while, and it really helped me for a long time, but he retired. So I went to this new guy, and that dude actually hurt me, like, and to the point of I hurt worse. So I found this other guy, which happens to be related to the family, kind of, and he's been doing pretty good. But it's one of those things that some people get addicted to the crack, as they say. You know, you go to a chiropractor, you get addicted to like how it feels and whatnot. But I won't go unless it's emergency, and it was an emergency. So
how does it compare the one time that you and I had a spa day
Yeah.
Actually,
That was a little
that's
different.
the Hall of Fame. That's whenever we really need content. We have one of the best stories of all time. Adam and I were on a destination trip years ago,
Yeah.
and we had a spa day in which Adam would be happily, with some preparation, reenact on here.
Oh my God.
Hall
I'm
of Fame
telling you,
story. So
I still, to the day, will never forget that ever. And
these aren't shorts.
yeah,
No, sorry.
yeah. Chase figured out. But see, my wife was. I'll just say a very short snippet of the story. My wife told me when we were going to the spa day, take swimming trunks with you. I said, okay. The memo did not get passed along to Chase, and let's just say the great facility that we went to, they provided Chase with some shorts that they called shorts, but they were not shorts. It's more like a hairnet. And
story stops there.
Yeah,
tune in November episode, No Practice Podcast, because
we'll have to do this later. It's such a good, it's epic.
A hairnet. But speaking of, it's great to be back. Episode 40. Right. Shout out to Theobald family. Last episode, that was a record show from a length of time standpoint, and our shows have gotten significantly longer, as everyone probably notices. But we kind of just take them for what they're worth. But it's safe to say we're officially back in pulling season mode right now, guys, because we're going pulling this weekend. So,
I'd
say from now until late September, I could see these shows being a little shorter. We'll see how it goes, but we're all busy getting geared up for the weekend ahead, and we're kind of in pulling season mode, the No Practice Podcast. So, looking forward to it. I've got to pull a lot with two-wheel drive, over the winter months, but you two obviously haven't been able to. And being at the shop working today on a few things, like, it feels good to be back mini rod pulling. two-wheel drive is a fun class, but there's just something different about mini rods. So, Tyler, how's everything up in your camp getting ready for this weekend?
It's going good. We actually, in traditional fashion, before the season starts, my father always acts like we're never going to be able to get everything ready at all. And this was from this past weekend. We can see Mr. Farmer Bruce, even though he won't be behind the wheel at the Pullers Championship, he did get to sit in the seat of the tractor as we started it up for the first time this year, and made sure everything was right with that machine before we shoved it in the trailer. And on Mother's Day, we got everything loaded in the trailer, strapped down, and ready to roll. So we have been loaded up since Sunday, which is a good feeling. And despite him acting like we were never going to get everything done in time, I looked at him after we loaded and I said, I think this might be the record for the earliest we've been loaded before we've left for a pull at the beginning of the year. I mean, we had the hauler hooked to it. We did grocery shopping. We had that thing fueled up. We are prepared as prepared can be. So,
do you have any beer yet?
No, but I typically will buy beer. Well, I'll typically buy beer when I leave work the day of, because I drive right past a liquor store on my way from work to Bruce's. So I'm going to work till noon tomorrow, and then I'm going to hop in the rig, and we're going to head south to meet up with you guys. When are you guys going to be getting to the pull?
That's a good question. As you can see, everything is still sitting here. Let's see here. The trailer is outside. The toter home. I've had a lot of fun. Got to put a new refrigerator in the toter home. We got new steer tires put on the truck because you can't go more than 2 years on a set of steer tires, I hear. So I put some new steer tires on. Got a couple tires on the trailer redone. Got the motor home out. Had to put an alternator on it. Kind of got it cleaned up and everything. Tractors have been started. Once. So we'll kind of see, but we'll just see how tomorrow goes. Toby's going to show up, I think, sometime in the morning, and we'll start putting stuff away in the trailer and try to get out of here somewhat early. But it's an hour and a half, hour and 45-minute drive, so
that's not bad.
Pretty good.
All year, obviously, for you, Adam, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just so it's directly, Adam, you're outside, for people who don't know, outside Evansville.
Mm-hmm.
On my commute there, I'll drive right by Adam's house. So it's as close as you get to hometown pool, I guess, as you can, right?
Yeah, I mean, if I would break the cycle and go to the PPL pool in Evansville, it would be my hometown pool. I still have never got to pull there.
It's a great time. I
That's
had
what
a
I
ton of
hear.
fun last year, and I'm planning on going back again this year. So, speaking of the Pullers Championship, though, I believe we have some lineup results, or not results, but lineups for Friday night. And how about that? It's none other than Mr. Chase Richardson pulling first, me second, and Adam third. And the chances of that are quite something. People were even reaching out to us, letting us know No Practice Podcast top 3 Friday in the lineup. So, Adam, in our private chat, we kind of by default said that that tractor that's coupled with us there in the top 3 is going to be your bet tractor for the weekend.
That's
Yes,
fine. That's good
Okay.
because I don't know what that red one's going to do. I
You
don't
won't
even know what the
let 'em off
black
too
one's
easy,
going to
Tyler.
do.
And-
Let them off too easy.
And speaking of the bet, we put out a poll after our last show on what the loser should have to do, and we got 244 votes, and pretty majority speaking here, wax a leg.
Thank you.
Yeah, how about that? So what that means is whoever does the worst out of the 3 of us, Adam and that tractor that's hooking third on Friday night, has to get a leg waxed 2 weeks from today. And unfortunately, I opened my mouth 2 weeks ago and I said that because I'm not man enough to have really hairy legs like you guys, I would do both of mine if I lost. So I feel like that evens the playing field somewhat because of my little children legs.
Well, we could be politically correct. We could be politically correct and act like this is a collaborated poll that went out. But fans, this is what really happened. Tyler was no to anything to do with his hair. And
No, hang on.
No.
Here we go.
He was.
Here we go.
Tyler was no to anything to do with his hair because it's going to take us 4 years to grow it or something like that. There was some round and round discussions. Next thing you know, it went on Facebook for fan voting, and it's too late to go back. But in return, I said, okay. I said I'm not screwing with electricity. You're getting electrocuted. So
Yeah.
I guess Adam's the only one that really just plays by the rules. Tyler has
I
to
don't
go
know, dude. I'm pretty adamant on eating cat food, wet cat
You-
food. So
You did lose the taser bet, Chase. You were supposed to get shocked by that in Bowling Green in the middle of drinking a beer, and
still
you
waiting on
dodged.
you to back into that sled too.
I won that bet there, though.
No, you didn't. You didn't
Oh,
make it to the poll against the Lacey's, so you were supposed to get shocked.
Oh,
but
yeah. That's right.
I believe what my wording was, I will make a bet about hair as soon as you guys grow your hair out for 5 or 6 years like I did, so that the stakes are even. So.
In the future, fans, we'll all nominate real fan votes and not what Tyler and our director wants. But we'll waxing a leg, hopefully. Hopefully it's not me.
I just want to say thank you to the fans that voted for waxing a leg, because if I did happen to lose this bet, it was going to be pretty hard for me to do fermented tofu or wet cat food.
Yeah, I legitimately think I would throw up on air here if I
shout
had
out to the bet debut right here.
Yeah.
I would do that over those
Really?
two. I think so.
Ooh, I don't know, because eating cat food would suck in the moment, but it's not going to hurt when you poop the next day.
Who said it hurt?
You did.
Thank you to the fans for the engagement.
How do you know that?
How do I know that?
No, how does Tyler know that it wouldn't hurt?
No, I said that. Eating cat food because it's
Yeah.
not spicy, I would imagine. I guess I'm just.
Oh, okay.
just assuming.
I'm going, what?
Thank you to the fans for voting. It's fun engagement. This is our third group bet. The first one, I lost the hot chip. I think that was the MAC Winter Nationals.
Yes.
The next one was Bowling Green, Ohio. Is that right? In which
That is
Tyler
correct.
lost and had a
Yes.
mouse trap on the finger.
Yes.
And this is the third one. And just so you know, it'll be the combined results. So like Bowling
Over
Green,
2
Ohio,
days.
Over 2
Yeah.
days. So whoever the worst of the 2 finishers will be doing their
And let's
steep
pray
thrill.
for good weather so this
Yes.
isn't a one-trick pony.
And
Well, it's not for me. I'm test up.
I believe we said the tiebreaker is distance. So if I get a second and a fifth, and Chase gets a fifth and a second, and Adam got first both days, then Chase and I will go on combined distance as the tiebreaker there.
Oh, is that another rule you made up in the back end?
No, I believe if you'd actually read our group text, I said that before.
I'm kidding. I'm sorry. Hopefully I don't lose. It probably is going to happen though.
Yeah. I don't. Hey, dude, we got new stuff all across the board here. I am nervous about what happens when you push the throttle forward. So,
Well, do you know what I
I
did?
got to ask though, are you driving your dad's tractor just out of curiosity? So you're going to
Yes.
be campaigning it. Have you ever
Yes.
driven it before?
I have driven tractors of his in the past, but I have never driven this specific tractor ever in my entire life.
So what do we got to do to get you the bet to be on that tractor?
Well, I don't know. Did you keep CJ's tractor, and are you bringing a second one?
No, but I think you should. I think the bet should be with your dad's tractor.
Nah, I don't think so.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
is there any difference between the two?
Yes. He sets his tires up differently than me. He selects his gear ratio different than me. And like a fool, I have not studied his past raceback data yet to see if he drives different than me. So
are you going to? Is it going to be his tractor set up? You're just going to drive it?
yeah. There's no way he's going to let me screw with everything. He's going to set it up exactly what he wants and then tell me I drove it wrong afterwards, I'm sure. So,
well, I'm sure you'll do great. That Adam, which of the two you're taking your red tractor as the second one?
These two, yeah.
The blue one, which
and I did put a feeler out, and I don't know. I'm not trying to make this a deal or anything, but I did ask if I could bring my other one and just make a test pass at the end of the night or something, and they said I could. I just want to put a lap on it. You know what I mean? Just make sure
so
everything.
So you're going to practice?
No, no
kidding.
practice.
I'm kidding.
Hey, Farley's coming up, and hate to say it, boys, but I'd like to win that thing. I'm sure, like you guys would too, right? But
$50,000.
We can dive into that process. What's your all's feedback been on how the draw went? It's a different concept, but it was obviously I have a bias, but I thought it was pretty cool how RJ orchestrated it up, and there's no
I think it's good
questioning of who, what, when, or how it was done. For those that didn't, you can go back and watch. It was a live draw on air. I'm pulling Thursday with mine. I know, Adam, I think maybe you have two pulling that night.
Two on Thursday, one on Friday. I think on Friday I'm first hook.
Yeah, so there we go. Yeah, Thursday night. And Tyler, I assume you'll be driving both your your dad's vehicle that weekend too?
At this time, I believe that is the decision Bruce made, yeah. So I'll be
we're all running on the same night. Our vehicles are running on Thursday night then, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
And I think RJ made it very clear when he put these out there. These are two stacked classes.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be difficult to finish in the top 10.
I was looking at Thursday, and I don't know if I can beat 9 people. I'm serious. It's like an NCAA bracket. You're filling out like who you think you can really. I can't say I can see 9 on there, to be honest with you.
That's a stacked field. It's funny how Vinny pulls last. But
yeah,
whatever.
I know. I was watching the drawings, and I'm like, of course he would get last. Of course.
These and just as a reminder, fans, this is the $50,000 to win event, historical event, first time in pulling history. June 12th through the 14th in Farley, Iowa. You get in the top 10 Thursday night, top 10 Friday night. You make it to Saturday to pull for the.
And they're pulling one lucky dog from each class, so there'll be 22 on Saturday.
What do you think they would say if, let's say, for instance, Adam, me and you if I don't make it Thursday and you don't make it Friday, but we both get lucky dog, you think they'll call it corrupt?
Probably so.
I've already heard from RJ that before the drawing process started, the way they did it live with Dan pulling names and Melissa rolling numbers, that people were already reaching out to RJ being like, well, how's this going to be legit? How do we know you aren't going to fix the lineup and screw with everything? I can only imagine being in his shoes, the accusations trying to put on an event like that. I'm sure it's a great time.
Yeah, Dan Mayer and Melissa Graham from NTPA did a great job, really, or corrupt people. So I see the question. Yeah.
And you know what I liked about it? They rolled through. They rolled through until every ball was drawn, so you could tell that every number was accounted for and every puller was accounted for.
Yeah. If anybody has a problem with that drawing process, they're insane because
Yeah.
that is as fair and as true as it can get. No electronic randomization, no pre-drawn, predetermined numbers, no patterns that you can look at throughout the year and say, well, how come these two are always next to each other or anything like that? It was straightforward. I was a big fan. So
I've
props
never
to
seen
them
a pool with that much buzz. Like there's a major buzz about just that event alone at this time of year. I mean, everyone always, the big events you naturally get excited for, Bowling Green and Toma and the others, but like that, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it, to be honest with you. Just
People are going to start turning things over to make passes at places just so they have an idea when they go there they might be ready to pull.
for sure.
I know. I already have an idea of the combination I want to have there, and I'm not prepared to run that. And I feel like I need to get some laps in somewhere.
What's the combination, Tyler? What's the difference than normal?
Well,
I'd say really conservative,
yeah.
rich setup,
Yeah.
probably low hitch if I was
Oh,
going to
yeah.
guess. Really, really slow on the throttle. If I was going to guess.
My prediction would be I either 10% chance make it into the top 10 or 90% chance have to back out of it mid-run because it's trying to kill me. That's typically the setup I'll go to. So,
to be honest, for me, if I can get, I'm pulling a two-wheel drive. If I get both those vehicles into Saturday night, that'll be a win for me, honestly, because that'll be pretty
for sure.
Yeah, but I get the beautiful part about pulling Thursday and Friday night. That means I have to at least stay there for 2 nights to drink beer because if I pull them both Thursday, I might have to go home Friday.
Right.
So it's
oh, no way. If we don't make it into the finals, I mean, I guess it's ultimately up to my father, but I would say we're staying for Saturday night to watch that.
Yeah. It's going to be pretty amazing. As we get closer, the anticipation is just going to go greater. And just a reminder, fans, you can get tickets pre-advanced. I have a feeling there's not going to be tickets left on Saturday night for sure. So encourage you to buy your tickets. That's available at fullpooltickets.com. I think there's some few campsites and so forth. So RJ's a good friend of the podcast. He came on here as soon as he had this idea, and it's certainly living up to the buzz that he created back when, hell, that was last September. So really looking forward to it. Hell, we're less than a month away from it. That's what's really crazy. So
yeah,
time's flying.
Speaking of drivers, we talked about it, and we last show we kind of gave our top 5 mini rod drivers with the full pull driver rankings, and I'm calling corruption because none of us made it. I don't know how this was done, who did it, but none of us.
Hang on. I'm calling corruption because Ken Venny isn't on that list. I don't know what's up with that.
I'm calling corruption because Brian McDonald don't even pull anymore. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah. Adam, I think you really did get snubbed.
Nah, it's all right.
You were number 2 in mine, but again, the pullers voted for this. There was, I think, 12 random pullers. I think they're going to do this every year, but it's cool. It gives fans something to talk about. As we all said, all these people on this list and probably 20, 25 more are credible, great drivers. So any immediate reaction? Tyler, you just said it. Ken Vinny's not on here.
Yeah.
Obviously just revealed the top 5, but I'm sure there's a lot of close calls in there. So
yeah, that's clearly a fraudulent list.
What was Bruce's reaction? So he's top 5 mini rod driver, but what would you rank him as snowmobile driver?
Oh, snowmobile driver. He's similar to my pulling setup where it's either an absolute hero or a 0. He can haul ass on the trails when he chooses to, but he has his moments where things don't go as planned. So, I can relate.
It's not too soon. Like he's back in his tractor. He's riding around. He's farming. We can heckle him on it now, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right,
he's always a good sport about that with me as a son. We're constantly giving each other shit on things. So yeah, now that he's not, going to die from that, it's safe to tease him about it. Enough time has passed for sure.
Yeah, and I'd say that's it will be something that will be brought up and glad we can laugh with him about for sure. So
oh yeah, absolutely.
So that was the driver rankings with no practice representation. We're coming back in 2026 that we'll all 3 be on there.
If Brian McDonald could teach you to drive a mini rod like he taught you to drive a 2-wheeler, Chase, I think maybe you would make that list.
Yeah, I mean I guess nothing but upward from here.
Yeah, absolutely. I would imagine you made the list for the two-wheel drives, right?
Yeah, number
Yeah.
5, which I'm not even
Okay.
sure I agree with that one. I just had a good vehicle that did well this year.
Yeah, you know, like farm show winner, Enderley winner, points series winner. I can see how you barely made that list for sure.
Well, I'm just in the grand scheme of things. But anyway, speaking of Brian McDonald, he is not pulling this year, as we noted, and his mini rod was sold to the guest that we have on tonight, and Mr. Peter Norton. To many pro stock fans that know him, welcome to the No Practice Podcast, guest number 40. Would you like us to introduce you as a pro stock puller or mini rod puller, or
just whatever. Puller, I guess. I'm good with any of it. So,
Peter, thanks for joining us. Welcome to the mini rod class. We're going to be sure to have you a good initiation here for you tonight. But tell us firstly, what made you want to do this, and kind of the rundown of you getting in the mini rod class from being a pro stock puller.
Oh, it's just when, how pulling is, you always get an itch to do something different once in a while. It's kind of how I got from super farm to pro stock. And Rob Russell and CJ were here for the PRI show, and they stayed at my house, and I just was rambling on about, I thought it'd be cool to have a mini rod someday. Then I was talking to Jeremy Nelson about it, and now we've somehow ended up with 2 of them. So that's the beginning of it. And it's going to be a major learning curve, I'm sure, but very excited to get into it.
Well, some of the best things come in pairs for sure, and your minis are no exceptions here. Tell us about the previous life of these tractors and how you ended up with those 2 specifically.
So the first chassis we bought, I think Jeremy called me and said that Wayne Bunnage had a Bobcat chassis, which is the green and white one, and was wanting to sell it as a roller. And so I told him I'd take it, and I told Jeremy if they'd get it, kind of cleaned up and painted and make it our own version, we'd do that. And then I'd got a motor from Brian Knox, Boyd Performance, and they put the motor in it, and that's kind of the start of that. And then,
Peter, I have some really bad news for you.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
Probably.
That was my tractor.
Was it really?
Yeah, before Bunnage.
Well, I didn't know the history for that, so I learn something new every day.
Well, you thought you're getting on the good foot, but you're screwed now. That was mine at one time.
Well, if it screws up, it's going to be your fault from here on out.
Well, we'll see how this podcast goes. But yeah, I had that tractor. We sold it to Bunnage's, and they ran, I think, 2 times last year. So the last time it ran, it probably would have won the MAC Winter Nationals, but it broke something in the drivetrain last time I ran it. So I don't think it's spun out since then. So good luck to you.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to need it, I'm sure.
No, I'm kidding. I'm just giving you a hard time. You can carry on. I told Jeremy that I didn't even realize that was my old tractor until we did some math. But you can carry on with your story. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. So, anyways, I talked about doing it, and so I had talked to Jeremy about working on them and putting them together, and then he had talked to Brian about. He'd actually talked to Brian about a motor originally, and then he said, well, why don't you just buy the whole tractor? And so we've tried to work out a deal to make that happen, and I'm glad we did. And I think it'll be good to have 2. And Jeremy and Tanner and that whole family will probably go, and they'll, I'm sure, run them a few times if I can't go, or depending on what my schedule is with pro stocks, and we'll just kind of play it by ear.
Okay.
So that is the Grand National Championship tractor there from last year. You have the one that won the points.
Yeah. So I always looked at it's like when my pro stock was Brad Moss's tractor and was very successful. And I always feel like if you're going to get into a class and buy something used, you might as well buy something that was on top. And so I figure that's a good way to start at it.
Very
yeah.
good.
If you're going to take something home, better it to be on top for sure. No question.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So you got a motor from Boyd's from Mr. Brian Knox. Was this your first time meeting the beloved character that is Brian Knox, or did Jeremy Nelson work through him as a bit of a liaison for you? How did that go?
Oh, I mean, I've met him before. I'm good friends with, I talk to Steve once in a while. I'm pretty good friends with some of the Boyd guys. And it's the first dealings I've had with Brian. And he's been, I told him I didn't know anything about it. It's going to be like teaching a 2-year-old about mini rods. And he said he'd hold my hand and walk me right through it. So we'll see what happens.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure it will be a wonderful experience for anybody that knows Brian Knox. I've got a long history with him, and yeah, he's an awesome character, and he can be fun to work with for sure.
Yeah. So I went down there to talk to him about it before it happened, and first time I really met him and talked to him a bunch. And of course, he's given me the whole tour of the whole place, and I was pretty impressed. All the stuff they got going on down there. It's a lot going on.
Oh, it's a facility for sure. We've had our motors there before, and we've dynoed there a few times and whatnot. And yeah, it's a pretty cool place. I can see how it'd be fun to spend some time in that shop for sure. Did you dyno both motors before putting them in the minis?
No. Just kind of ran out of time. We're gonna try and go same kind of like Adam. We're gonna try and make test pass this weekend at Polaris Championship.
Oh, are you?
It's over. Yeah.
You're gonna go practice.
Go practice. See, I need a lot of practice. You guys are all experienced, so.
Wow. No.
Yeah. Which I'm gonna be. I'm there with the pro stock anyway, so we'll figure to be there. Might as well try it out.
Did you happen to watch the video of last year's Polaris Championship? Boy, was it interesting.
The Polaris Championship or the one in the fall, Adam?
Both. Any of them.
Well, I'll have to do that tonight. Now you said it.
Oh yeah.
Don't let them discourage you, Peter. It's not that bad.
I don't know what they're talking about. I ended up
some rumors. I'm sorry.
I ended up winning there on Saturday. So as is tradition, it was the best track I pulled on all year, and everybody else, just was nothing but excuses. So go ahead, Adam. My bad.
Oh, I was just gonna say that you watch those videos, and there was I think it was probably the reason Bunnage sold the tractor because they didn't have a very good night there that one night. But no, if history repeats itself, it's been awfully wet. And I think Nashville's been getting a lot of rain. That dirt with moisture in it is dangerous in a mini rod pulling tractor, I think. Just
like
personally.
Good, Adam?
Yes. Would you agree, Tyler?
Oh, yeah. It can be one of the best tracks you'll ever pull a mini rod on.
Yeah.
No question. And that's worked in my favor, Peter, and not in my favor in the past. So this was a couple of years back, I think maybe 2 years back. And I think this is the famous photo Chase often references why NTPA changed the rules on me, because you can see my leg flying in the wind and hitting the ground. No, you can't. No, you can't. It's firmly against the frame. But yeah, it just goes to show how quickly things can go absolutely horrible in these. But honestly, it's not often you get a beautiful shot of your rear fenders like that. So
no, that's
nice graphic work there.
Yeah.
America with that flag flying in the background.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it doesn't get much better than that. So what do you think, Peter? What are your chances that you're going to be on your side this year?
Well, I hope none, but I mean, I guess if it happens, it happens. So we'll see.
Yeah, Chase, I think we
It's
need
definitely something I don't think about in the pro stock. I don't think about being on my side there. So now I'm like, horsepower 1.5 to 1 or whatever the horsepower to weight ratio
this
is.
This class is really a good group of people and guys, but like they'll definitely come up to you and while you're sitting in the cage, your 5-point harness on and give you an old tap in the head. Hey man, don't roll her over. Good luck though.
Yeah.
But they'll help it back over when it's over on its side.
Oh, again. Absolutely.
Yeah, I remember a few pullers the first time they hooked up to the sled, and I heard some murmuring from some of the people that said, that first run, I just don't think he got on it fast enough. I'm like, yeah, good luck.
Yeah, no, but it's Tyler. Is it? I was thinking about this randomly the last week. You've won the last 2 pulls you pulled in, right?
Yeah, but better to be lucky than good. I guess I am.
Peter, do you want to get in on the bet about waxing legs?
Sure, I don't know. I don't know if I can get on that. I might. Is that for Farley?
No, this is for this weekend at the Polaris Championship.
Oh, well, I'm not gonna. Mine won't count because I'll be at the end, I guess.
Yeah, we'll save you the headache. Let us make the jackasses of ourselves. You're still a credible guy for now.
Yeah, give me a few full pulls here, and I'll get in on some bets. I'm good with that. I don't like cat food really, so I might go with the waxing instead.
Yeah, that is what the people chose for sure.
So Peter, what kind of gear are you going to be running, and what's your tire pressure on your mini rod? Any idea?
I have no idea. No idea. Whatever's in it.
Jeremy will be there to walk you through it for sure, I would imagine.
Yeah, Jeremy's gonna definitely have to hold my hand through this deal, so we'll see what happens. I guess we'll figure that out when we get there.
So how did you get tied in with him as a pulling companion, being that you ran a pro stock and he runs a 2-wheel drive truck and then a mini rod?
So he's painted and worked on several semis for me over the past, I don't know, probably 3 years. So we talk a lot, kind of become friends doing that. I mean, I've known him just from polling in general, but and just yeah, like I said, we've had a truck there probably being worked on for the last couple of years, whether it's been paint jobs or he's painted a OBS Ford for me, and I think he's done maybe 4 or 5 different semis for me. So just got to know him through that, and always respected his work and thought it'd be a good fit. And I don't know, there's kind of a funny story that when I won, let's try to think here. I mean, Thursday night, maybe of 2021 at the farm show, they had the poster, they put up that you can bet on when you're up there. Yeah. And they'd actually put my name as Peter Nelson on there. So it was a running joke for the longest time that Tanner, those guys were like, you're part of the family already. So I said, I ought to sign this thing up as Peter Nelson because they already got it on my poster. So I ended up buying that poster because of that. And just thought it was funny.
So Peter, tell us a little bit about you, Peter, the business person, a day-to-day person. What do you do? I know you're from the Franklin, Indiana area, but fill us in. I know where I am in Kentucky. I told you before the show, I see a lot of your trucks running around in the Kentucky area. So tell us what Peter Norton does on a day-to-day.
So we have about around about 70 trucks over the road, around all 48 states, Canada, and then have a freight logistics business on top of that. I've been doing that. I started with one truck, in 2002, and it's just kind of grown since then. Do anything from van freight to up to 13 axle heavy haul stuff. So our forte, I guess, is a lot of the multi-axle heavy haul stuff. And then what you see in Kentucky, we do a lot of automotive stuff. We run about 25 Conestogas, like rolling curtain side trailers. Do a lot of that. And then we farm about 5,000 acres too. On top of that, I'm 7th generation actually on our farm. So my dad's still involved in that. So I spend a lot of time spring and fall on the farm, and then all the time trucking. If anybody's familiar with trucking, it's kind of a 24/7 deal. So
how many trucks?
Huh?
How many trucks?
70.
About 70.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So in a world of, you see articles on Facebook and online and hear people talking about how like the trucking industry just isn't profitable anymore. Like clearly you guys are doing something right. Like what are you doing different? What's your niche in that industry that it remains successful?
Well, we've stayed in specialized thing. I think the people in the general freight world probably are struggling a little bit. So we like the oversized stuff, and kind of the market we're in has stayed busy. From our standpoint, we run some pretty nice trucks, and pretty much a fleet of 389 Peterbilts and some W9s, 589s now that Peterbilt has. And I've always thought having the nice equipment attracts the drivers. And so we've continued to have, good drivers. And with any business, a good employee or good employees, makes the business anyway. So if we can attract good drivers, they're going to take care of you in the long run anyways.
Yeah, I have heard that you have some pretty sexy semi trucks for sure.
We do. I've probably got a little bit of an addiction with it, I think. So we've got several that don't do anything, just sit in the barn, and everybody always likes to go, do you like to go to truck shows? And I really don't. I just like having nice trucks, really, to sit in the barn. So that's just kind of the way it is. So I figure my kids will auction them off one day when I die or something.
Oh, you're sounding like my father now. That's what he says about all of his stuff. So have you gone to a truck show before and you kind of get there and you look around and you're like, I don't know what to do with my hands now?
Yeah, pretty much. Or I'll get there and leave the truck there and call one of my drivers, come hang out with it, because I don't want to be there anymore.
That's awesome.
So we've been to a few truck shows. I mean, I've got, 20, 30 trophies from Mid-America Truck Show and Rantoul and some of those places. But I generally won't go. Nothing against truck drivers or trucking, but that's all I talk about all day long. I don't want to spend my weekend talking about trucks and trucking. So
right.
Yeah, tractor pull, right?
Yeah, I got to go tractor pulling. That's right.
You know the Davis brothers very well?
I do. Oh, yeah. That's close to you, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They're actually Brian Davis's daughter works for me.
Oh, really?
Yep. She's a CNC operator.
They've done a few trucks, some work for me down there. I've been in their shop 4 or 5 times.
Yep.
They do
really
good
close.
Stuff. They do good stuff.
Yep.
So with you having this background in trucking, I'm kind of surprised you're getting into the mini rod class and not the super semi class. Was the super semi class ever on your radar and something you considered, or what's keeping you from that?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, RJ and I are pretty good friends, and we've talked about it some, and I think it's cool, but never really been on my radar. I mean, if something popped up, it'd be kind of fun. I just don't. It's not like I have to have one or want to have one, I guess, kind of a thing.
So when you say if something pops up, like obviously it doesn't sound like you really were like a mini rod is my dream. I must have one. You just you've always, admired them, and then kind of an opportunity arose and now you have them. And if memory serves me correct, you've kind of bought and sold some various pulling vehicles along the way to get where you're at today. How long do you think we're going to see these minis stick with you? Are you just going to kind of run them for a year and then flip them and turn them, or are you pretty committed to this? You've never been down the track, so let's lock this in.
Well, if I end up on my side on the first pass, it may be short-lived, I guess.
No, if you end up on your side, that's a reason to stay dedicated. If you go out there and do first
that means
and
you fit
second,
in well.
yeah.
I honestly, I don't know if I'll keep two of them for a long time, but I think it'll be something we kind of hang in there. My daughter's 15, be 16 this year, and I don't know if she maybe shows some interest down the road, maybe something kind of cool to hang around with and that she could run. So we'll play that by year. But
if she's 16, she's good to drive on this year, right?
Well, she'll be 16 in November. So
okay. Sounds like a next year thing.
Maybe
season.
next year. That's probably a little ways off for her, I'd say. So
I'll just say that once you get in the seat of one of these, like I get it. I've driven like a super stock diesel in a 2-wheel drive. There is nothing that will compare to the ride in a mini rod. And
that's what I've heard.
Yeah, you can basically. I think you might be signed to sell off other things if you really get on a good ride in a mini rod. It's one of the most frustrating classes because you can do everything right one time and the next time look like the biggest fool on the planet.
Yeah,
and that's what keeps me coming back to it, is because you've had success and you know what it tastes like, but then it can disappear really quick. But the ride in a mini rod, I would say, is probably better than anything out there, in my opinion.
Well, that's good. That's a selling point. See, You're advertising for the mini class.
So when we talk about your various rides and pulling, tell us about where you began, the first pass you ever made down the track, and the development to the pro stock Peter Norton everybody knows.
Let's see. First time I went down the track, we had a farm all M, and a buddy of mine that I went to high school with, his dad pulled antiques. And so he was like, hey, we ought to take that to this pull. And so that's how I started, pulled an M in an antique class.
Okay.
I was 16. So actually I got, like the third pull we went to was like 50 tractors or something crazy. And I got protested for my age because I won. It was like my third pull.
For your age?
No kidding.
You had to be 16. And they thought I was 15 or 14 or something, I guess.
Or did you have a fake ID?
I probably did. Yeah.
Oh, was that a highly modified M?
No, this is dead stock, whatever, first gear, mile an hour, or
Gotcha.
First gear, slow going. And then we just had a 4430, just a farm tractor that I pulled, like at the fair. And then I bought another 4430 we modified and did some hot farm stuff with. And then I bought a tractor from Dick Bonner, probably in 2002, I think. And it was a pro stock. He called it a pro stock. It was just like a 585 401 tractor. And we ended up turning that into a super farm that I called the Hurricane Deer that we ran for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I bought Scott Typen's cast ass nightlife tractor in 2005. And then we made it a super farm as well, called it the Perfect Storm, which I owned up until 2018 or somewhere right around there, I guess. Or we ran up to 2018, and then I met Brad and bought his tractor, and then it's kind of been pro stock from then on out. So, and actually Scott Typen has that tractor back now, and his son's pulling it in hot farm. So it's kind of made a circle.
You know, it's really crazy. I worked at Engler's whenever they were building a new pro stock, and it was an International. And I don't know, did that thing ever get down the track as they owned it?
I don't think it ever did. No.
Yeah, I don't know if it did or not. I always saw the nightlife tractor out. Always didn't really know them very well, and I thought it was really odd that they're building an International. And but it's good to see guys like that get back into the sport after being out for a while. It's really good to have like a good family like that back.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're fairly close to here, and I think Scott still goes with Wishmeyer some and has stayed involved, so that definitely helps. That's kind of my rundown in pulling, really. And I had two pro stocks for a little bit, and then we just kind of focused in on the one that I've run some, and Brad Moss still helps a lot with and takes it some when I can't go. So as I got family and other work commitments. So
Of course, of course. So have you always, it sounds like to me, bought a pulling tractor from somebody else, or have you ever put one together and been the first person to put a pass on a set of frame rails down the track?
Nope, everything's been used.
You're a smart man. I feel like that's the way to buy things. Like,
Yeah, well,
kudos
I'm
to you
probably
for
an
that.
impatient man. Maybe that's what it is. So
Well,
I know it takes
I
a long
mean,
time to get one built.
I feel like that's the way to do it because we've built a couple of them, and when people say what they can buy, pre-ran ones for, and I'm just like, God, I could never build one for that. Like, there's not a chance in hell. Like,
Right.
Well, that makes sense. And the thing about it is, a new one, it just takes, it's going to take you a full year to get it figured out just from a balance standpoint and
Mhm.
how it's going to work. I mean, if you can get something that's used, make a few modifications, make it yours, and then, get it down the track.
absolutely. So, how did the ride compare in a pro stock compared to a super farm without hurting too many people's feelings? Is it comparable? I mean, how does that compare?
It'd be like, I don't know. It doesn't compare really. I don't really know
No.
how to explain it even. I mean, I guess it'd be like if you're into boating or something. It's like having a pontoon with a 15 horse and getting a tritoon with a 300. It's just, you're in the same size of vehicle is going a lot. It's a lot. It's not that you're going faster. I mean, you're going actually the same speed. It's just the power it takes and the feeling. I don't know. You bend over 5,000 horsepower at 150 pounds of boost. It's all happening and happening quick. So
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine. Is there any nervousness about like your pro stock driving style in a mini rod, or do you feel like you're gonna catch right on?
I don't know. I think that's probably the thing I'm most, I don't know, that I think about or how it's going to go down. What about, you get everybody and the brother is going to tell you what you should do, do this, do that, do this. It's hard to say until you're sitting in the seat. I know just from what I've been told, like, in a pro stock or super farm, you can feel the seat when it's time to, get after it. I don't know if it's the same in a mini rod or not. It's just so much lighter.
You can feel it for sure. You kind of feel that thing squat down and kind of jiggle side to side and kind of start to plant on you. And I feel like as many passes as you've had down the track, I feel like you'll catch on quick for sure.
Does any side of that bother you, knowing that you never use your left foot to hit anything? Because once you let off the clutch, everything's with your right foot, right?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I have thought about that actually. I mean, I think about all these things going back to like, what do you do with your hands? Like, I'm gonna be using my left foot now, so it's like,
We're freaking getting this guy's head. He was coming up full of mini rod till he got in his podcast.
Yeah.
So this is a question I always want to ask, because I ask every pro stock puller, and I never can figure this out. What the hell do people talk about at the starting line when everybody climbs up on the tractor?
That was a question I had. I'm glad Adam.
I have to know. Is it like pointing at the end, going, see that down there? We got to get
this backstage. I don't know. It may be hard to do, but basically, every pro stock.
Are they coaching you? I mean, what are they doing?
They jump on there, and it's like, "Hey, man, go further than the other guy." And they
I want to know what it's about.
Well, it's kind of that thing. I mean, if it's team wise, I think it's, how, obviously what direction to go a little bit, but maybe how quick to get off the clutch, that kind of thing. That all makes a pretty big difference, as far as
is it a, hey, you need to leave at this many RPMs? Is it you need to, I mean, is that we coaching people?
It's probably more like you need to walk it out a little bit, or you need to get after it, get a handful kind of thing. So
does anybody slip any funny comments into you as the tractor's running, the chain's dropped, it's tight, you're waiting for the green flag, and somebody's up in your face and they're like, we're going to pound beers after this, or anything to throw you off?
No, not really, I guess. No? Everybody's too serious.
Yeah. That's fair.
I think what you'll come to find out, maybe, because just as an onlooker, and I don't know, the minis are very fast paced, and I think it's because they're so small. Like the pro stocks are big, and it takes you guys. I had no idea that you actually gotta. It takes kind of a driver to get one of these pro stocks to actually idle out to the starting line and back up. It's not like you just drive it out there, right? You actually, it's could be difficult to drive one of them, and they seem like they take a little bit to get going. Where the mini rods are a little bit faster paced, so you're probably not gonna have much time to think about anything. I guess my advice would be try not to think about much. We always try to joke with. I always got a buddy that says something to me before we leave, like it's totally off, just to break the stress, right? Yeah. So I guess what my thing would be is just try to relax when you're doing it. But I've always been curious. What do people talk about? Because it seems like every pro stock, somebody's up there talking, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I think we should start the trend. This next weekend, Tyler and Adam, if I'm available, when you tighten the chain, I'm gonna go walk up to your face.
You got to stand on it. You got to stand on the tractor
and go like that.
Somebody got to do that for me to make me feel better, then, so I feel comfortable at least. How about that?
Yeah.
Well, honestly, that may be a good thing. I think maybe sometime on the pro stock you get up there and overthink it too. It's like, I was going to do this, but I've had enough time to ponder on it. Now I'm going to do something different and screw it up real bad.
I gotcha. Okay,
that's
well. We sit here and we act like Peter's going to be a stranger to fast-paced things, but you've been making some laps down the track and something else lately, haven't you?
Yeah, we've been have gone drag racing a little bit. That's kind of been a new thing a little bit. We've taken a like to. So
tell us what we're looking at here.
That's a 67 Nova that I bought from a guy in Oklahoma. I've made a few passes on that. We were down at Orlando Speed World. We were just doing some testing. I had some friends that were doing sick week, and they got invited by Mickey Thompson. Mickey Thompson ran the track, and so I'd gone down there and made some laps just for fun, really, more than anything, just to get some times. And I got invited to go to this. It's called King of the South. It's next weekend at Shadyside Dragway, North Carolina. It's $75,000 to win. It's not no prep. It's like they call it bracket prep, which is kind of a sticky no prep.
Tell us the difference between bracket prep. I mean, you're saying it's a sticky
no prep. I'm new to this as I am.
You got to run a number,
really, but the way I understand it is it's still a sticky track. It's just not like a full blown prep track like you'd run a pro mod on or something.
Is there a breakout time where you can go too fast?
No. This is grudge race, heads up.
Okay.
Get to the end.
Have you ever raced where, like, if you go too fast, then it's no good and you lose?
Yeah, we went to a little local track down there. First time I went last summer and did that, and I just.
Nope. Yeah, Peter froze, guys, but he's going to be coming right back.
Is that called racing?
Well, I'm pretty sure they call it racing yet, for sure. But
he's good. He's good.
Okay, tell us about racing where if you go too fast, you lose.
Or is it really called racing if you do that?
Well, that's the bracket racing, which is a lot of it in America. But I don't know. To me, that doesn't make it's like going polling and saying you can only go to 300 feet.
That's like watching one of those.
One
of those limited pro classes.
Did I lose you?
Yeah.
Oh,
nope, we got you. We got you back.
That sounds like watching one of those limited pro classes with all those rules on them.
Yeah. So I just had a friend of mine that was into no prep racing, and we talked me into buying a car, and so that's how I got going on that. So
what kind of power plant is in that?
Yeah.
That
car's got it's like a 440 cubic inch LS style motor with twin turbos.
So what are we talking? 2,000? 1,800?
It makes 2,200, somewhere in that neighborhood. So
okay, so you're trading in your diesel smoke for spark plugs in more than one way, for sure.
That's right. So, and then I've got a friend of mine and I teamed up. I bought a pro mod. And so I sent a rendering of that because I was there. There you go. So that car is
a real pro mod.
No, it's a fake one.
Going to be done
what the hell
in about 2 weeks, and so
the rendering, dude.
No, but
that was a rendering from the wrap guy that we were putting on it. But anyway, so me and another guy he's gonna drive it for the first year probably.
What kind of power plant will be in that? Turbocharged or?
So that's got a 4.9 Noonan Hemi with a screw blower.
Yep. It seems to be the going rate if you really want to. Screw blowers are kind of like the best scenario. It's a given. Everybody really knows it's very reliable, consistent. I think the turbos make big power, but they're just not consistent.
Where will you run that?
That's the thing. I mean, he looked like Mark Mickey. I mean, he was mile an hour, crazy fast, but I don't think the consistency's there.
Where will you run that car? What circuit?
Probably like PDRA or I don't know. There's on that as far as that goes. And I think we're trying to practice some this year and run that winter series down at Lake Bradenton and all down in Florida would be the goal, I think. So
I guess, do you know the Shelton team?
oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure they can give you some guidance on how to do it, right?
They have, and I talked to Stan, Simon Reese both, because just when we were at Louisville, I had mentioned that we got it, and he knew the car came from New York on a guy named Melanie Salemi, who runs Pro Mod. She won the first PDRA one. It's actually at their shop. They're putting the motor and stuff in it and getting it ready. So that's kind of the situation with that. So I think we'll, probably run it some this year, but I've got to get, I got other things going on, and I want to get my feet wet racing with some other stuff before I jump in a Pro Mod.
Right. So I guess my question would be, you're slowly getting into drag racing. What are some things that maybe drag racing has that pulling doesn't, and vice versa? Like what attracts you to that? Obviously $75,000 to win, right? And
yeah,
definitely
the money is, I think the money compared to what you spend to do one and what you can win is good. There's just a lot of places to go. I mean, you can pull year round. I mean, you can race year round. You could go drag racing in the winter. For me, my busy times are spring and fall. The summer's obviously when we pull a lot. So I thought, well, if we had time, then you could go race in the winter, maybe race some in the summer. But you can race, 5 days a week if you wanted to. There's it don't seem like there's endless amounts of drag racing to do. And I don't know. It's just I don't have probably enough time to do any of it, and I've got too much of it. But it's going to be something we're just going to try and probably get into, run the minis, run the pro, drag race a little bit, and figure out what I want to do the most of, and go from there.
Right on.
So I'm curious. You said $75,000 to win, and with RJ, what he's doing at Farley, there was some criticism from people saying, "Well, this is just the pullers, paying for their own purse." So at a drag racing event, to draw some comparison, at this event that pays $75,000 to win, what does it cost to enter, and how many cars will be entering?
I think it's $600. It was $600 to enter. I know that. And then I don't know, and I don't know enough about it. I think sometimes they'll pull money from other classes to maybe pay up a top class. And I know a lot of times the promoter may put money on top of whatever the, entry fees may be. But I think in that one, there was maybe 50 cars or something that entered. So there's definitely some money thrown on top of that, either from sponsors or from the promoter itself.
Sure. So in that instance, I've heard a lot of people say at some of these big races, if it comes down to the final two people, they'll do like a 60-40 split or a 70-30. If Peter Norton's lining up in the staging lanes and it's down to the final two and somebody asks you for a 70-30 split, you taking it, or are you saying, hell no, we're running balls out?
I think we're going to go for 100% in my camp. It's a hobby. I'm not in it to make a living.
Hell yeah.
If I was in it to make a living, maybe I'd think differently about it, but I don't. And I mean, what RJ's doing, I think there's some other people following along with this money. I mean, we all know what it costs to do it. If we're going to go, I mean, if it costs you $2,500 to enter into a class, I mean, at the end of the day, for the chance to win, I think it's things that, need to continue to happen.
Yeah, we're known for our excellent math on this show, and we ran the numbers one day. And if you look at it from the percentage invested to your return on that investment compared to a normal pull that pays what it pays, this actually makes more sense on paper, because while you do have to add just like a % or two on top of what you already have invested, the return is 25 to 50 times what it normally is. So I mean, it makes good sense, I feel like, and it makes it exciting for sure.
Yeah.
Now, well, the other thing with that is whenever there's money to be shared around, or where it's high stakes racing or pulling, you get the best of the best too. I mean, I'm not saying that all events aren't that way, but you do get the best of best. I mean, before you got on, Peter, I'm sure you heard it. We're talking about Tyler's got a combination that he's never ran before. He's going to run there. Something along those words. I mean,
I think he's ran it before.
You see premium performance attempts. How about that? And they're like, you mentioned Scott Typin. I know he's involved with that event in Tampico, Indiana. They're doing something like that, like the Hot Farm class, right? Have you heard anything about that, Peter?
Yeah, I think so. I think
it's like a $10,000 to win. I've heard that pull is. Have you ever pulled there?
Oh yeah, many times. That's 45 minutes from my house. I don't know if you guys have been there before, but the key for that pool was they made their money by
Fish
selling
sandwiches.
fish
Yes.
sandwiches.
I've been there,
and
and
they say they pile in like 10,000 people in there sometimes, and there's no
it's
admission.
crazy.
You just show up and you
No,
buy fish sandwiches.
Yeah, they just off the food how they
Yeah.
make their money.
I got
Yeah, I pulled there probably, I don't know, 20 times.
I hate to say it. It's, that's why I keep going back to like the NFL thing. You know, the reason why it's so successful because for the most part, not all the time, but for the most part, it's free during the regular season for people. I mean, let's face it, money's tight for people these days. And, you know, we sacrifice all the little things we do outside of pulling just so we can go pulling. Like, we're not extravagant with, I don't do a whole lot of stuff, but it's pretty good that you can lure people in with fish sandwiches. I mean,
man, you get me liquored up though. I'll put a half a dozen of them babies down. They're pretty delicious.
How much? They are good
they
fish
cost,
sandwiches
Peter?
for sure. I don't know. We haven't been, of course, they haven't had PPL took the pro stock class away from down there, I think 2 years ago, maybe. So I've been there a couple of years. I don't know. They're $5 or $6 a piece, probably. But I mean, they'd have bags of them in there. I mean, it's lined up, and they don't really have much for stands there, so people will be backed up with hay wagons and all kinds of stuff along the guardrail. It's a good.
Is that going to be something that you are going to? I mean, some of these organizations that you run with, you said that $75,000 to win kind of deal. Have you seen some of these drag races with all the people standing at the starting lines?
Yeah,
that's kind of.
I don't know. I can't believe that's not just an insurance disaster. But.
Don't
right?
say that. People watch
I mean, well, I know. I'm just saying. I see those pipes. They're faced for velocity. They're help propel things, and I see some of these places, and there's so many people at the starting line. It's like, oh my goodness! But they bring a lot of damn people. I mean, they really do. Those drag races are bringing in large amounts of people, and it's probably because they're paying a lot of money. If I was going to guess.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of people, relate to drag racing. I mean, you don't know, like I didn't know about it until we got into talking about drag racing. There's so many different people just may have their, Pro Street Camaro that they drive to the Dog and Suds on the weekend, but they can take it to the local track. And I know like Lucas Oil Dragway in Indianapolis has this deal. It's called Wild Wednesdays. I mean, you can take your minivan there and run it down the track if you want, pay your $30. But anybody can go down the track. And I mean, if you are into drag racing and you're like, man, I wonder what it'd be like to go down that track if you watch, the U.S. Nationals there.
So we've been talking about this off air, but it seems like he's taken the world by. I mean, he's just got it right now in his hands. Cletus McFarland. And I'm sure he lives down there in Florida, and he owns his own track and has all of those little things. Let's just say you do get a chance to meet this guy, or you need to offer him a ride in the mini rod, I think.
We've talked about that, actually. I agree with you 100%.
I think it would be great.
I think that'd be
and that guy is, to me, he, like, listening to that interview at Daytona, and this man loves America, and he loves racing, and he loves whatever it has to do with racing, any type of it. And I think he would fit in great in tractor pulling crowd. I think the guy would be phenomenal to have a group, bring him to Bowling Green, just watch that guy go. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, I've thought about that. I think I've got the guy that's going to help with the pro mod. He knows him, and I'd mentioned that. It's like, you need to send him a clip, and I'm sure he's seen a mini rod if they've watched.
I think they probably have. Yeah.
Hey, if you had a chance to drive this, would you? Kind of a thing. I mean, sure, it's how some stuff's gotten to, anyways.
He seems like a pretty big fella, like tall.
Oh, he's tall. He's
very tall.
Yeah.
So it would be quite comical to see him packed into a mini rod, but I can tell you it might be the best interview you've ever heard when he gets off of it. I don't know. This guy, he's what do they call it? Firecracker or lightning in a bottle. This man, it seems like whatever he does is instant success. Maybe we can get a pull down there to his what is it called? The
Freedom Factory.
Freedom Factory. That's right.
Yeah.
That his place. We were down at we went to a race at Bradenton. Me and the family went to and watched a race at Bradenton, and that Freedom Factory is attached to Bradenton Motorsports Park or whatever. So I think it, they have a lot of events, and then he has they just had an event in Indy. It's like Cletus,
Cletus
Friends or something where they race the Crown
Indy actually
was in it, right?
Indy actually built a
Tony Stewart.
Indy actually built for Cletus when he was doing this stuff, because I've had some friends go up and they said it's amazing the amount of people he drags in there. They built the whole burnout box for that entire event. I mean, and now he's doing stuff there yearly or every few years and stuff. And like I said, the guy gets great content out, and I just want to I think that guy tractor pulling would be awesome. We talked about getting him on here, and there's no way. Allie's in the back. She's like, has anybody had any luck? It was like, there's no chance we're gonna get to talk to this dude. But if we did,
well, you never know.
Right. He seems
never
like
know.
A genuine dude.
Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know if I watched part of his story, just kind of figuring out how the heck did he got where he was. And I don't know if you guys watched it or not. He started with 1320 video and worked his way up. But I mean, some of his latest YouTube videos where he's had his warehouse they've built this massive warehouse to do all his merchandise. It's like, oh my goodness.
It's wild.
Hard park the Spark. Come flying in the parking lot 60.
Well, who's building your pro mod? Is CJ working on your pro mod or your cars at all?
No, that was, like I said, we with another guy had bought a chassis from a guy in New York, and then the Slemmies, it's G-Force race cars. It's John and Jim Slemmy.
He's a good one.
Are doing it actually.
Okay. He knows the stuff.
Well, we heard about your race cars, but you've got some other cars behind you there too. I see an old Volkswagen.
There's definitely square body.
Tell us about this collection. I don't know if that's a square body or if that's a '69, that teal one.
Well, this is a '69 Camaro, and then that's a '78 Malibu that's got a small block and twin 76s in it.
That's spicy.
It's a low 7-second quarter-mile car, but it still drive it down to the.
Did you just say low sevens? And it's street legal? Come on.
Yeah. It runs on E85.
Have you ever done any drag and drive events? Like I heard you mention Sick Week earlier.
No, I'd like to do it though someday. I think it'd be super fun.
Oh, you got to.
I feel those Sick Weeks. I actually had never heard of them until this past year. It's pretty badass. One of you all explain, because I think we should do a No Practice podcast Sick Week one year.
I was gonna go this past year. My dad's gone the last several years, and he's got an old '65 Suburban, and he does like the spit shine deal where you're part of the tour, but you're not racing anything. It's a old heavy Suburban. It's only got like 700 horse, which I know sounds like a lot, but it's nothing compared to those cars, So he just goes to all the racetracks and watches everybody run. But yeah, the fact that there's guys with like 2,500 plus horsepower cars, and you have to drive them from event to an event, and you can have a trailer and you can do your prep before you get out onto the street, to make your engine street legal, but you cannot put it on a trailer. You cannot have a third person following you with a trailer of spare parts. And like the thought of that is badass, because you see this stuff on TV where people are like, yeah, we're running street cars against each other. And it opens this whole discussion of what is a street car and what isn't. And it's like, well, if you can put 1,000 miles on that sucker in a week, that's a street car. I don't care what you say. I mean, I don't care if you got to tear the motor apart and you got to do 3 hours of work to it to go from drag strip to street. That's still a street car if you can put 1,000 miles on that in a week. So, I mean,
I think at Jeff Lutz, that car he's got.
It is. Yeah. It's a chromoly chassis, carbon fiber body, street legal race car.
I've always wondered why I recently heard about this. How fast they drive to event to event? Do they go like 45 or they?
No, they get out on the freeway.
I just think, whatever they can get comfortable at and keep it cool. I think.
Well, I think there was a while back they did that. The shit box from hell, right?
Shit box of doom.
Of doom. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
That thing. I think. Let's see what. 3,000 horsepower.
Yeah. So
screw blower on it.
I think that had a screw blown Noonan water jacketed block, I believe, and I think that's the one where they would take the blower pulley or the blower belt off. They would unbolt the burst panel, and they would
put
bolt
a throttle
body onto the burst panel, and they would, the injector hat blades wouldn't even open going down the road, and it would just run off a throttle body. Like that's some badass stuff there.
That's pretty
dude.
Peter, if you've got a car, like just one of them you're casually mentioning, that will run low sevens in the quarter, what is the fastest quarter-mile street legal car that you have in your possession?
I mean, that probably is. I'd say that car is the fastest street legal car I have.
That's some bad stuff, though. I feel like you got to run that in Sick Week next year.
I think, well, it's definitely possible. It's just got to find time.
You got to do it.
We went. That's what I was saying. That picture I'd sent where we went down to Orlando. That everybody was testing. Then for Sick Week at Orlando Speed World. Then they were going by. I think it started at South Georgia Motorsports Park or something. I think it's where it started, and then they made a loop.
My damn father, he got in a snowmobile accident like a week before we left for that. So, I couldn't even go. So I'm definitely holding a grudge to him on that.
So is he in the sick ward?
Yeah,
or
that's
what
it is, the sick ward type deal. So yeah, I had bought my entry and everything. I forget how much I paid for it. I think it was, I don't know, a couple $100. I was signed up and registered to do that. I have an old 1970 Monte Carlo that looks like a total piece of crap compared to everything sitting behind you because it sat in a barn for 40 years. But I was going to take that down there and just drive along, and just watch the people race. And I think it'd be badass to be out on the freeway and just watch these 2,000 plus horsepower monsters riding by on the freeway. Like,
I bought a ticket for Sick Summer, which is Midwest or whatever, that sick ward thing. It's not crazy expensive. And that's a shorter event, I think, but just in case I had time to go, I thought it'd be fun.
So are you going?
I don't know. Maybe we'll see what the schedule's like.
Man, if you're going, you got to let me know. Cause I don't have fast shit to run, but I feel like I want to tag along and like
a great pit crew.
I want to no, you can't have a pit crew, Chase. Like even if Peter was,
it's just whoever's with you.
You can get one guy with you. And even if Peter was broken down and he's like, I need this, I'd be like, sorry, can't help you. I got to go to the hotel and drink beer, but let me know when you get back. And I want to hear your story on getting it back running. Like there's pictures, Chase, of guys with like the cylinder heads torn off their engines on the side of the freeway, rebuilding a motor that they just screwed up trying to drive it a couple 100 miles, rebuilding the motor to drive to the next racetrack.
On the
side of the interstate.
I feel like the transmission's going to be your weakest link, in my opinion, for the whole deal.
Well, I mean, you can have a trailer, so put a couple spares in the trailer. I mean,
yeah.
So tell us.
But the transmission's out because the trailer weighs too damn much.
You got if you got spare transmissions, it's probably worth it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think there's stuff that runs, isn't common stuff that runs, 10 or 11 second quarter mile stuff. I think that does it just to get the experience of it.
Yeah, it would be like, still, if you've got a car on the street that you're running a 10-second quarter mile, like that's a damn fast car. Yeah, like that's going to smoke 99.9% of the stuff you're going to line up with at a red light. So when you said low sevens, like that is scooting. Did you build that car? Did you buy that? Or?
No, a guy here local did.
Okay. So how do you acquire all these automobile treasures?
I don't know. They come and go, and I buy. We've got a dealership that we buy and sell cars with, whatever, and so stuff comes and goes. This guy actually had this car local. I saw it at a car. They had this car show at Lowe's. This guy had it there. I was like, man, that thing's awesome. It's real clean. Everything's done nicely, and so I figured out who it was and called him. He wanted a fortune for it at the time, but I gave my number and said, hey, if you ever get reasonable about it, I'd be interested. And so about 6 months later, he called and got reasonable about it. So that was that.
Did you put it down the track yourself then, or is that just?
No, just drove it around here.
I feel like you gotta go to a drag and drive with that thing.
No, I definitely like to sometime. I just hadn't done it yet. Might go up to that Wild Wednesday and run it just to see if it. He had it in some magazine. I think it ran a 737.
That's damn fast. Well, tell us about the Volkswagen bus. Is that like a previous mystery machine from Scooby-Doo, or what's going on there?
No, that's my wife. She that came from South America to Florida to here. So she loves Volkswagen. So she has that, and she's got another Beetle she drives around a lot.
So that one's not for sale. That's a keeper?
That's a keeper, okay. Yeah.
So is the car behind you, that's like your main centerpiece, is that your keeper, or does it?
No, just here. It's 69 Camaro. We've had it for a good while. We drive a lot of them a lot. And then there's that 71, the kind of the patina truck's a 71 C10. Just got it put together not very long ago.
Nice. So. That one probably just runs like 9-second quarters. Not a big deal.
Yeah, if it's got LS3.
If I was guessing, you need to come across some of these, square body Chevys, because I think Brandon Simon's in on them right now. So maybe you come across a few. Maybe you can sneak a few up to Iowa there. I think he's got a couple he's been sitting on here for a little bit. But
they're tough to come across. I mean, there are a lot of them out there, but the nice ones are hard to come
I mean,
by.
obviously, it looks like you deal with clean cars. Like all your stuff that you've ever had at a pull or anything is very, I wouldn't say simple, but it's not gaudy and loud, but very clean, simplified, good-looking stuff. And I think, you know, it's I'm in awe about. We're sitting over there. We used your awning one time at Bowling Green. Waiting for the scales, and I'm over there going, I can't believe you parked on this damn horse track. There's shit all over this trailer. I mean, it's hard to keep your stuff. That's probably the worst part about tractor pulling, isn't it? Is like trying to keep stuff clean.
It is. I'd say the worst thing, how Farley is, they have that
tree
stuff
sap
they spray down. The first time we were there and they did that, and then all the dust was gone. I was like, man, this stuff's awesome.
It rains.
I can't believe how great this works. And then it rained. It's like, oh,
yeah. I actually pulled my tractor up on to the trailer door, jacked it up, and got the hose out and was rinsing the stuff off before I rolled it in the trailer.
Yeah.
That was a good move. The return on your investment for your time there was exponential because pulling it into the trailer. Yeah, you scrub that out of the trailer. Yeah. That is not a fun time at all.
It is. That's awful. Getting off, and then the rocks are stuck in it as well.
Well, but you had mentioned Reese Shelton earlier. We heard at the farm show this past year there was a little bit of drama in between the Shelton gentleman and the pro stock class. Can you speak to that at all? And is the rumor true? The only reason you got in the mini rod class is to kick their ass because they got in the pro stock class and started kicking yours?
Well, I don't know that rumor's true or not, but in Thursday night we were in the pull off, and I don't know. I guess we thought the understanding was that nobody was going to make a hit. I was into the class, so my stuff was super hot. My EGTs were hot, and we didn't have time to work on it, cool it down, and so then he goes out there and made a pass, and it was kind of a controversy, but it is what it is. It's just pulling. They're each to their own, I guess.
So when you say there's understanding, what do you mean by that, Peter? That
as far as nobody's going to make a well, I mean, everybody was like talked that there weren't going to be any, nobody was going to have a full blown pull off, I guess is what they were trying to say.
What I have to ask this question, and I don't know. I know those are immaculate, expensive vehicles, but why does no one want to run like 2 times in that class? Because obviously it means they run them. My opinion, they run them so hard the first time they can't run them a second time. So what if you just said, okay, you have to build these things where they have to be prepared to make 2 runs? Would that not level things out there?
I mean, we can make 2 passes for sure. I'm not saying it couldn't, but I mean, I don't want to. When you're at the farm show, it's they're pushing you, so I don't want to run it full bore and then run it 4 minutes later either. It's not set up to do that. And at the time, if you were at an outdoor pull and we had a pull off, then we'd probably have time to get a computer out and do a little, if we need to change some water here and there, we'd have time to do it. And just you don't have it there. It's just kind of such a rush. It's just a different scenario. So I mean, we've run it in a pull off before.
You run water in the block or no? Okay, so if you make 1 or 2 hooks, how long will that engine stay hot? Like,
I mean, it'll stay warm.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you wake up, you go to bed at night, you wake up the next day, it's still very warm, right?
Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. And for anybody that don't know, that's what's crazy about them things. Is I've heard even the next day, like people go start, it's like, damn, this thing's still pretty warm.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And so I think you can obviously had leaf blowers and trying to cool it off and stuff. And hindsight's always 20/20 going back. I probably once we read the data, I'd have been fine. It could have made another hit, but it is what it is.
Do you think there's a scenario like what we talk about pull offs and entertainment and all that on this podcast a lot of times, probably every podcast, but do you think there's ever a scenario where pro stocks like, all right, this is how it's going to be. This is
top 3 come back or
top
whatever
3 distances. You're going to come back and run twice no matter what. You think that like what would have to change or what would be the feedback from pro stockers if that was a rule that was implemented?
Oh, I'd say, if it was a Saturday night of a 2-night weekend, maybe be okay. But if you're trying to do that on a Friday and Saturday, that's probably a lot.
What's the part that on a pro stock engine that Is it what Adam just said? They just run so hot.
Yeah, I mean, it's just valve train and that kind of stuff that you could potentially have issues with. And I think that whereas fuel pump or injectors or turbo, all that kind of stuff, that it's one of those things that on a 2-day hook, if you're gonna have to run it twice on a Friday night, knowing you have to run it twice again on Saturday night, I think that's just gonna your maintenance is gonna go up exponentially because of that.
So speaking of that, have you ever been caught on the side of being first hook, lay down a really good pass, and this reset? I guess that's where we're going with the whole idea. Like, the fans in the stands don't understand. I wouldn't say they don't understand, but I see what people say. You could have 30 tractors in the class and hook number 9 wins. There's not a lot of entertainment from 9 to 30 because nobody's getting past that number. So people always wanting for that, they want to see a win at the end. They want to, whatever. But then you mix in the simple, I guess what I'm getting at it with this is so they've known in the past that now we're going to do this one and done. And then your first hook and you lay down a 369-foot pass and they reset. And come to find out that 3 more tractors go and they reset again. I guess what I'm saying is, what goes through your mind would you wish that they would back the distances up so they wouldn't have that problem? Are you good with them running as far as they do? Because it's a little bit more of you're riding on razor's edge trying to get them to actually stop in a reasonable amount of time.
Man, I don't know. That's a good question. And I think that's one of the toughest things, especially for the sled operator, to figure out, they're going to catch a lot of slack from it either way as well. That, going back to, when I pulled a long time ago, 300 was this, and now we're stretching it out 340, 50, whatever it is. I don't think I think if you're still getting them out there, 330, 340, 350 is not the killer end of the world. Obviously, it makes a nice show when it goes way out like that, but you get up there close to 360 or 70, I think that's getting out of whack for sure.
Yeah, so I've just seen a pro stock. They're 10,000 pounds, right? Or is it 12? Yeah, 10,000 pound pro stock. And I mean, we're in all, we watch them all the time. It's who's going to put the power down and how good the job they're driving. And it just seems like here lately, the way the distances have gone, maybe some of these guys ain't going to be stopped. They start going, and it's holy cow, what do we do? You're going to kill the show. A guy just lays down maybe the best pass that they've ever had in a couple of years, and then it gets taken away from them, and then you're well, it's just, I guess what I'm saying is, if there's ever a point in time to where they go, maybe we just need to back them up, because it just seems like that sled, now that we're going 350, if a guy makes a good hook, they're not stopping him. It just doesn't seem to it's going to stop anybody. And then, if you go back to 300, the passes are slower and there's not as much excitement, but they are a little bit more consistent with the distances, I guess. Basically all I'm saying. And that's what I was trying to figure out. Where do you think the finish line should be?
I think at 320, 330 is 330, whatever, is a good spot, in my opinion.
How do you feel about that mandatory top 3? Just only Saturday on a 2-day pull, or do you feel like
Yeah, if they wanted to do something like that, I definitely think doing it both nights is going to be killer on some people. So, or create a lot of work Saturday morning, day, whatever you want to say.
I would agree with that. I had some,
and you're taking the chance of, if you got 15 tractors to class and half of them tear up because they had to run twice Friday night, you may kill your show for Saturday night as well.
For sure, that's a factor, and especially in classes like the pro stock, or especially like the diesel supers, where numbers are so few there to begin with. I had somebody send me a question saying, in some motorsports, they run a oil cooler where they cycle the oil through to cool the engine down through an auxiliary cooler that they hook up. Do people do that in the pro stock class at all, or no?
I've not seen.
They're taking notes right now.
So
I just wondered, with just trying to get them damn things.
It's a good idea.
Cooled off.
We've done it before.
That's how you got to run twice now, Peter.
Yeah, there we go. So we got to figure it out.
No.
I mean, you see that in drag racing. The guy got a little cart and they're running coolant,
transmission,
all that kind of stuff, cool stuff.
Absolutely. If
I don't know. I mean, that's a theory to think that might work as long as something didn't fail
Who
in
wants,
that system.
who wants to be the guy that tries that out, right?
You'd think it would be
Yeah.
more effective than, I don't know, 4 leaf blowers on stands zip tied wide open, But
Blowing dust
Yeah.
in the motor.
so when you got into the mini rod class, and you said that you got an engine from Boyd's, so you had to start buying these, spark plug power plants. Were you shocked at how cheap stuff was compared to the pro stock? Like, we don't need to talk dollars, but
And availability.
how many mini rod motors could you buy turnkey compared to one pro stock motor turnkey? And we're talking boost system, top to bottom turnkey, ready to roll. Is the ratio 3 to 1?
I'd say you're 2 to
1?
1 probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are parts like hard to come by for the pro stock, or is it getting to the point where there's people?
Well, I think that's the thing of with mini rod or tool drive that it's more of an automotive based part. I mean, at the end of the day, pro stock stuff, you're going to have a limited amount of suppliers as far as rods, pistons, crankshafts, camshafts, head, that kind of stuff. There's only so many people doing that. Where I think, and just outside looking in, that for a blown Hemi, that there's however many of them around the country, in a race car or tons of different kinds of motorsports outside of racing or pulling that uses that kind of stuff. So, and I think, like for a, if you window an aluminum block, you can just fix it, right? So that's not going to happen so much in pro stock. So
it's an appeal for sure. So you got the 4.9 Noonan in the drag car. Brian McDonald's, I know, had a Noonan in it. Did you go with a Brad motor or a Noonan in the you went with a Brad? Okay. So you got some variety.
Yeah. Figure out what's not going to work.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Peter, this is a question, another question we always bring up or gets talked about. Your roots are in tractors, pulling hot farm, super farm, pro stock. What are your thoughts? A common fan or a friend of yours or someone that is interested in motorsports as a gearhead, but has never really been a tractor pull. They probably can't tell a difference when they show up to one of these events and between one class to the other. I think pro stocks and diesel super stocks are on a playing field of their own, just what they are. Do you think there should be some consolidation, or what's your opinion on all these other classes that they all look the same, but they're different roles from a fan standpoint? Do you have any thoughts or opinions from your experience on all that? Because it seems like there's just a lot of them.
I personally think there's too many classes at the end of the day. I don't know. I mean, in going down into some of the regional stuff, where it's light limited this or light, I don't know. There's a million different combinations, and which is, I don't know. I shouldn't say it's bad. I don't like it. It's just, it seems like there's a lot of it. So, if you get, it seems like maybe if a guy is in a class not doing well, then they start this next class and try and do something different. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad way to say it, but it just, you get down in some of these other, and how it, like Battle of the Bluegrass or something, they got all these classes that, light limited this, or, you run combination of all these different things. And I think sometimes it's good because you got to get a tractor count. So you get enough combinations together, you can make a class. But I don't know. At the end of the day, I think there's too many classes as far as the lower.
I did not even realize until this week the Super Farm class, which has been a national level class, at least on pro pulling and NTPA side, they have different roles between the two classes. Like, they're not 1-to-1. I didn't even know that. I'm like, how is that possible? Shouldn't they all just be the same roles? Like,
you got intercooled and non-intercooled, right?
Yeah, and that switched in the period that I was pulling Super Farm, that NTPA went away from the intercoolers for whatever reason. So yeah, and that's that's another attraction with either pro stock or minis, where you can run pretty much every association, and I think for the most part it's going to be similar, at least.
I don't understand in racing and circle racing, we said this a few podcasts back, why they can't get all these leaders, these organizations in one room and say, these are rules for this class, these are rules for this class, this is how we're presented to insurance, and let's just make this easy for one another. Like, I'm sure there'll be some backlash, but you realize how much easier that would be on everyone if they just unified on rules and what they present to insurance. But I think some people just want to keep shit stirred up, just to be honest with you. That's why
I guarantee it. And I mean, I think insurance probably dictates a lot of it, anyways, from a promoter standpoint.
If I'm an insurance, like they don't know the difference between a KTPA pull to NTPA. I mean, they probably do because the agent, but like they don't know. It's just tractor pulling. Like this is a rule for that class. This is what it is, and this is how it works. This is all the different entities that use it. That's a little rant of mine. I just don't. It happens all the time in circle racing, where they have like a governing body that mandates rules. It just seems like pulling should use something like that, but I don't know. Maybe that's too much wishful thinking on my part.
Yeah, I mean, it can go too far the other way too. I was at our local asphalt track this past Saturday, and it blew my mind watching the super late model class. You watch them run, and then you walk through the pits, and all of their engines are the same, like 602 or 604 crate motor. Even their intakes are sealed up to where they can't even so much as pull an intake off of a motor to work on their motor. So they're not even allowed to service the motor themselves or anything. They have to take it to like a pre-approved shop, to work on this thing. And it just keeps the cost down is the idea behind it. So I can see the appeal. What are your thoughts on something like that in the sport of truck and tractor pulling? Because it was hard for me to stand there and fathom that, but I can see the pros and cons of it.
We're just having a crate engine.
Yeah. So it was like Chaos
box turbo, box pump.
Chaos is an approved manufacturer. You go to them, you buy an engine that makes half the power that you make right now, but everybody's got the exact same thing. It's sealed up. Nobody can take it apart. So now you have to beat the guy on driving and setup, and therefore you can run a motor all year. It costs a fraction of what it costs now. The show probably looks roughly the same to people sitting in the stands, but the price point of entry is far more attractive for people looking to get into it. How would something like that look in the sport of pulling? Good thing or bad thing?
That's got a lot more cheaters then.
That was instantly my thought, and that's what I said to a guy. And I'm like, well, what's to keep you from bringing $10,000 to the engine manufacturer and telling them to put oversized valves in your engine?
I mean, they've tried to do that. What's a 5.0 Pro? I think it's an all Weimer turbo, and then the Outlaws or whatever. I mean, that's all the same. And I think that they tried to do that a little bit with some of that stuff, and I don't know. I think it maybe takes the fun out of it a little bit.
Is that successful, or do you feel like there is cheating going behind the scenes in applications like that of those rules?
I don't know. I mean, cheating, I don't know. You're always going to have somebody pushing the rules, right? There's always going to find a gray area one way or another. It's almost impossible for a sanctioning body to nitpick every tractor, every pull to see if somebody's pushing the limits here or there without protest.
Have you ever been protested or protested someone? Other than that time in the antique class when they were protesting your age.
No, that was it. That was your age. No. I mean, you've seen, but it's happened in the past. I mean, I've been there, been to polls where people have been protested and stuff's been wrong. I mean, it's just the way it is. And
what's the juiciest protest story you got?
Well, I'm trying to think. We were at a poll in Greencastle, Indiana. I probably shouldn't say.
No, you can. You can just tell us what the name of their tractor rhymes with. Then you're technically not saying anything.
That's going to give it away. The guy that was this was Super Farm. This is back in the day when you put the slug in, the turbo or whatever, and I think somebody protested him. They took the exhaust pipe off and the slug's laying in the pipe, dump it out, and there it is. So one of those deals. So
is there any cheating? You don't have to call it names, do you think there's any cheating in pro stock pulling?
Oh, I don't.
Say yes or no?
I mean,
yes. Oh, okay. In what way? Hitch, fuel? What do you think it is?
I'd say you probably are hitting both of them there somewhere.
Do you agree with the process in which, like NTPA's manner in which they test the fuel cannot be duplicated or purchased by competitors?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Probably the fuel part of it isn't as big of a deal on the pro stock side as you might think in something else. Super Farm or one of the lower classes. I mean, you can probably gain more horsepower percentage wise than you would in a pro stock. So I think the whether it's be a chassis or be, hitch, that kind of stuff is where you're going to get somebody going. I'd say, in a pro stock class.
Makes sense. How often do you guys get like plumb bobbed? Once a year?
Or? Yeah, I mean, I guess, I don't know. Maybe, yeah.
Maybe once a year. Yeah, sounds about right. Did you?
I don't think it hurt to check the top. It's like at
Top 5
Bowling Green, where, they're rolling you off across the scales at the end. I know it takes a lot to do that. And maybe some of these bigger. I mean, if the polls are paying more money, these big polls, that stuff's got to be checked at the end. In my opinion,
I would agree with that for sure. And yeah,
and $1,500 on the line, it's not as big of a deal as when $50,000 on the line. So.
I have a question, and this is more just basically to air your feelings on how you feel about this, because I hear it through the pits myself. Like, I think what I see, and maybe it is true or is not true, but what would you have to say to an organization or maybe even promoters for the amount of pro stock point hooks per year? Because I think, you look at some of these schedules, and I think the pro stocks have like 24 points hooks to go to. And can you maybe explain to the promoters and the organization on how difficult that is, and maybe why their numbers hurt at times, or what you'd have to say about that?
I personally think if you could have like these big money hooks like they're doing at Farley, if you had a deal where there's 10 of those a year, that either run, they all pay big, and there's a big points deal at the end, and that may attract a group from NTPA, PPL, Outlaws, whatever, to come run that. Have some of your local, smaller hooks throughout the year. People want to go pull some more, but I think some of the bigger classes probably, and this is just my opinion, don't want to pull 25 times a year.
Really hard to do.
Maybe they do. I don't know. I think that's very hard for. You take some people that are in these bigger classes are typically, professionals, business owners, whatever. It may be a little bit harder for them to, be taking off that much time. I don't know. That's just my opinion, probably. I don't want to go 20 times a year. I don't mind going to maybe, 6, 8 places a year, and knowing when I go, there's a chance to, scoop up some big money.
Sure. And you don't want to be on the road every single weekend, or getting a Tuesday night here in this pool, and then you got to haul ass down the road to this deal. And I see it. It amazes me actually how many people show up to run points in those classes, considering how many hooks that they have. And I see that people maybe send the tractors with other people to have them running, but that to me kind of takes some of the fun away from it. If you're basically just giving up on possibly winning a championship because there's just too many hooks to try to run for the entire year.
I agree. And it's like the Indiana Pulling League. I think like for a hot farm class, you can go like 26 times and never leave the state of Indiana. That's great if your person wants to do it. That's what you're interested in doing. But I think when you get in these bigger classes, it's not reasonable for somebody.
I think the promoter approaches an organization. It's like, man, we really like the Unlimiteds, and we really like the pro stocks, and we really like these classes. And then they're like, okay, well, we'll plug them in. And it's like, wait a minute, maybe we need to rethink this a little bit. There used to be a point in time when you would go to see these prestigious classes, Unlimiteds, pro stock, super stock, diesels, and you only got to see them 6, 8 times a year. And it was more of a destination for the fan, and it really brought fans to those pools.
I agree, and I think just like you're saying, I think if you'd had some of these bigger polls at wherever they might be, at some venues that are going to have plenty of seating and other things going on to make a full weekend of it, no different going to a NASCAR race or something like that people will travel. I guess it'd be like somebody putting on a concert every weekend at the same place that may get burned out over time, but a few times a year, then people stay involved and can plan for it. And
so would that be a scenario where if it was shortened to like a 6 total events, 2 days per, so it'd be 12 hooks or something like that, where it would be a possibility that you could bring in pull-offs to make that scenario work?
Oh, I definitely think so. As long as they're not stacked up, that's the thing. If they're stacked up weekend after weekend after weekend, I don't think it, if you had if you pulled 6 weekends over a 3-month period, I think that's very reasonable for
give
people.
You time to
maybe say every Saturday you're going to have top 3 pull in the pull off and work some sort of bonus deal for the points or whatever.
Right on.
So
like I said,
I don't know what you guys.
the only reason I bring that up because I see a mini rod. You can hot lap it, man. You could, if you want to run it 3 times. I mean, put a little fuel in it, and if you want to make sure you can do it, you can do it. But I think that's easy for us to say, oh, we need pull-offs, right? But in a scenario where you guys are at, it's not really like that. But I guess what I'm getting at is like it would for one, it don't burn you out. And 2, it gives you a chance to like no pulling on holidays or anything like that. You got a couple weeks to get your stuff in order. And I'm only bringing it up because I would like for people in the world of pulling that do whatever to kind of take that in mind. Like, you know what I mean? Like, listen to the pullers, because you guys could potentially be on the verge of having a big vent and getting things. If you kind of maybe stack your cards a certain way, you could put on a super pull, because there are the events out there. I think we have the events now that can do that, and we have the venues that can do that, and it would make for, I think, a lot better show if we maybe approached the weekend a little bit differently. Maybe if there's like a, you got these bigger classes, you cut them in half, you take, just like what Farley's doing, 10 out of one night, 10 out of the another. Saturday, you run it. You're there for 3 days. Yeah. It's a destination for the weekend, for the puller. It's not in and out. I mean, I hate to say it, one year we ran a lot of single hooks. By the time I got there and I got unloaded and ran and got back to the trailer, blew everything off and got everything back in the trailer, and I'm going, oh, I want to have a beer with her. Everybody's gone. Like, nobody's hanging around.
Not me. I'm always there.
I know it. But, I mean, the whole idea of going pulling is competition is one of it, but we all get to hang out with each other for a couple days. And I think that gets lost sometimes in the promoter / organization. It needs to kind of be brought up often to let people know, like, the pullers care about that stuff more than really anything.
All right, so we're gonna have 6 top Farley style pulls. Where are they gonna be? What's your guys' top 6?
Ooh, spots? I like it when the guests ask questions.
There you go.
Well, Bowling Green would never agree to do that, so they're out. I don't think Toma would agree to do that.
Well,
so
this is
people like RJ to do it.
Chase, this is theoretical for our own enjoyment.
Oh, realistic or theoretical?
I would say easily Chapel Hill would be one. You'll have to do, Bowling Green would be an idea. Toma would be in there. Of course, it's going to be the places that bring in the best fans, right? And have the best tracks.
Right.
I think that's where those things start. I think there's a lot of venues out there that you could bring that in that don't have that right now. You know what I mean? But they have all the works there to do it.
I think Fort Recovery,
Evansville, Indiana. They pack that damn place. I mean, the fans, just the atmosphere, the space. I mean, there's so many amenities to pullers when you look at, like, I love Rockwell. They have the nicest pits. The track setup, it's spacious. It's in the middle of nowhere. They do a very good job of bringing people in. But let's face it, those events should have a minimum of 15,000 or 10,000 people that show up to it. That's all I'm saying. We get to the places that have the most people that you can attract. If that means, hey, we go out on a little separate limb here, we try to get into maybe a bigger, like a Nashville, Tennessee, like type of place, or, Louisville does a great job. I mean, they sell the place out almost every night during the week sometimes, and like, it's there. You just got to go to the people. I don't think you can plug these places in the middle of nowhere and expect these big events to happen.
Yeah,
my opinion.
To me, it would be Nashville, Illinois, Hillsboro, Wisconsin, Evansville,
Hillsboro,
and then your Chapel Hill, your Bowling Green, and your Toma.
Yeah.
That would be a killer lineup.
Yeah, and I forgot all about that. I didn't run Hillsboro, but one time he does a phenomenal job.
He does,
with that.
Oh, Don would be all
absolutely.
He does a phenomenal job. Pardon
Recovery is a good event. It is kind of rural, but I think that is a very underappreciated pool.
Sure.
There's a lot of history with it. Hell, it's been around probably as long as any of them.
Used to be wilder than Bowling Green, from what I understand.
It was.
Allegedly. I don't know.
Hutchinson, Minnesota's it's a long ways up there, but they have people there. There are people
They bring people in.
Oh, yeah, that place is full, yeah.
So
I don't know. I think that's something that somebody needs to pursue. quickly. I think it would, and it's going to see how Farley goes. If it goes over, 100%, like I'm sure it probably will, knowing how Simons do things, that's going to lead on to the next thing. Because if they're successful, then the next promoter is going to say, "Hey, we need to be doing that."
It would be interesting to think, if with those classes like your unlimited supers, your diesel supers, your pro stocks, the unlimiteds, if they said we're going to lock this in, and for 3 years straight, we're going to commit to no more than 6 weekends out for this class, and you're going to have 1 weekend in between each one, what kind of attendance that would draw in a class. And that'll probably always be a theoretical because we'll never know.
Right.
But I mean, I feel like there's people that would look at that pretty seriously and say, well, I couldn't.
I bet you'd have to cap it.
I think so too. And what would be really interesting is if you had your price of entry from a promoter standpoint, this class costs X amount to bring in. And okay, so the first year you've got your events that had that. And then from there they say, well, you've got a period in between October and the 15th of January where you all know your entry point for those price point. And if this event that didn't have that class last year wants it, they can throw another $5,000 at the winner in that class for Saturday night, plus your price of entry for that class. And if they're one of the 6 highest bidders, they get that class and somebody else loses it. Can you imagine how weird that would shake things up?
Are you saying like basically make them bid it out?
Theoretically.
Yeah.
Because you've only got 6 venues they can go to all summer.
I thought about some wild shit. I've never thought about that. That's
hey, sorry, we're committed. We have an agreement with our competitors that we are not going to run this class more than 6 weekends. And we all know it costs $12,000 to bring in that class. And so had them last year. I don't know. Maybe that's all they're going to pay next year is $12,000. So you could just throw another $1,000 at first place. Maybe you'll get them. But maybe they just upped it to $5,000. So now they still got them and you don't.
That's actually a great idea.
I get that you don't want to pit promoters against each other, but it could possibly put the organization in a position where they're like,
why?
Hey, I'm sorry, guys. It's not our fault. We're contractually obligated to these competitors that we're not going to run them more than 6 weekends. And we're obligated on our competitors' standpoint to put them at the event that's going to put the most money in their pockets. So if you want them, you can have them. But unfortunately, you're going to have to outbid the other person that also wants that class.
It's genius.
And like I said, that would probably never happen, but it's an interesting concept.
It will never happen, but damn, that'd be freaking cool.
It'd be pretty neat, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
At least you put it in the universe, right?
Anyway.
Well, in order for that to happen, Tyler, I hate to say, but you have to have a group of organized pullers that come together that can stand against the organization and give a little backlash.
Well, I don't even know if it's standing against the organization, because that would almost be an organization and the competitors working together towards a common goal, because, now you have like Peter said, you'd probably have to cap the entry in each class, so that it doesn't get overinflated. So now you have a guaranteed list swelling. You're going to have 20 in each class, theoretically, right? It's fun to think about. Anyway, Peter, we do a segment on here called the rapid fire segment, where I just throw you a bunch of random nonsense questions. You give us a quick answer. No need to give us a long explanation or anything like that. They're pretty stupid, but we have fun with them. So if you could pick a puller to be your personal private chef for a year, who would you choose?
Shit. Rob Russell.
Would you rather make a pass in Wayne Purser's 8-engine Unlimited or a Top Fuel dragster?
Top Fuel dragster.
What is the favorite car you've ever owned?
Favorite car? 67.
What is the most romantic thing you've ever done for someone?
Got married.
That's good. Who would win in a spelling bee, Brian Schrammick versus Chance McGrath?
In English?
Yeah.
Brian Schramer.
If you had to pick one Halloween costume you wore as a kid to wear for a year straight, what would you be dressed as?
Probably He-Man.
Okay.
If you could ban one food from existing ever again, what would you choose?
Beets.
Who would you trust to make a better s'more at a campfire if you had only one marshmallow left, Jason Round or Brandon Simon?
Brandon
I
Simon.
would agree with that. What is the most you've ever won at the casino, putting your, quote, money on black? Not
10,000.
bad, sir. Who got a better score on their high school ACT test, Rob Russell or Brad Moss?
Brad
Think so?
Moss.
How badly did you get him? Or did he get him? Do you think?
Oh, I don't know. 10 points.
I have no idea the answer to that, but
I don't know. Just guess.
nothing to it. Nothing to it.
Easy. That was easy.
That's a good one.
Absolutely. Well, I feel
Is that the same questions for everybody all the time? Or
I
just
get a new.
everybody
I write a new list every 2 weeks.
This man is dedicated. He
Yeah.
has
like
I keep forgetting to give him. I have a box of stuff I bought at a coffee shop one day because I don't drink coffee, and I was kind of just wandering around there while my wife was getting something, and I found these campfire quandary is what it's called. I need to give it to Tyler. Maybe I'll try to bring it,
Yeah,
and it has a bunch of random questions in it like that for you.
That'll probably save me some time. One of our most famous ones was who would win in a foot race, Brandon versus RJ Simon. What do you think? RJ, you think so?
Yeah, I think so. I set that up.
I don't know, man. Brandon's shed some lbs though. You see
No
that
kidding.
Well, that's true. I guess. I don't know. That,
He even got more aerodynamic. He got rid of the beard.
Yeah, I feel like maybe at the Farley pool we can finally put this to bed, and we got to line those two up in a foot race.
We do. That'd be freaking awesome. Hey, you ought to do that for a bet and some
Right?
money online.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I don't know who I got on that. That's a tough one.
That'd be a tough one.
Well, we've all got our trademark questions on this show that we ask every guest, and mine is: if it is Saturday night in Bowling Green, you are last hook in the class, and it always is sweet to get a win, but it's always a little bit sweeter to take it from a certain someone. Who do you want to bump into that number 2 spot to make your night complete?
Oh man. Kevin Masterson.
That's a solid answer.
That's a solid answer.
What about in the mini rod class? Not really knowing a ton of people. If you were last hook in the mini rod class, who do you want to bump out?
Adam Bauer.
Another solid answer, sir.
Yep. So we kind of talked about what you would do to make pulling better. I think you have some more ideas. I don't know, but I'm always interested in, like, do you have a certain travel story that is just unforgettable? Maybe obviously you have trucks and stuff. You have all kinds of on the road stories. Is there anything that has happened to you traveling that is one of those stories you cannot not tell?
As far as pulling,
as far as really anything.
Oh man. I have to think on that one for a minute. Funny traveling stories. I don't know. I can't think of one off the top of my head that's funny.
Well, it wouldn't have to even be funny. Or was
Yeah.
Theobalds were blowing tires left and right and all kinds of things, like troubles trying to get to a pull or anything like that.
Oh, I do have one for you then. So we were at, when Scheid was still at Terre Haute. This has been, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. We had our tractors, was keeping them down at Brad's, and he was bringing up both tractors from his house coming up through Evansville and all that way. And I was already at Terre Haute. He had ECM or something goes bad in his toter. So it was, I don't know, like almost pull time. We jumped in I had my semi. We had our 4-1 at the time, and unloaded that, hauled ass down to somewhere south of Evansville, unloaded both tractors into my trailer, come back all the way to Terre Haute, run God knows however fast a 379 will run, 100 and some mile an hour at 41. We got all the way back up to Terre Haute, and Pro Stock class had started when I got there. And so we rolled it out, unloaded. I just happened to be later hooks with both. I had 2 tractors. I was pulling both of them, and unloaded both tractors. I had category 5. We pulled it, came back. I think I was second to last hook, maybe, with money on black, and I won.
Hell yeah! Didn't have time to think about it.
Did anyone get on top of the Pro Stop before you took off that run?
No, I don't think so.
No time. Get away from me. Chase. For anybody who doesn't know, Highway 41 is the slowest road in the country because I think the speed limit just got moved from 55 to 60. It is slow moving up and down 41. So,
but that was I I can't believe I didn't get a ticket. I was
Especially
probably
around Vincennes,
endangering-
man. They like to hide in some of them areas through Vincennes coming at 41.
Yeah, I just blew the horn and went through the lights, hoping nobody was.
Did you
coming.
really? That's intense.
Just
You
go.
gotta
That is
go.
dedication to
Go.
get to a pole right there.
That's
Oh,
one
yeah.
of the better ones I've heard. That's one of my favorite travel
Yeah.
stories, I think.
No
And
kidding.
you won the
If-
pool.
And you won the poll, right?
And won the
And
pole.
nobody got on top of
Yeah.
the hood and gave you any.
And nobody gave me a no. Go right, go left, or
Yeah.
give it hell. Just
Nobody
win
got
it.
up there. Hey, Peter, where do you think we're going to get another ECM from?
Yeah.
Like, get the hell out of here.
Is that got a 6Z or an Acer in
Come
it?
on now.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's funny
Where
shit.
did-
So is that what's going to happen now? We get to this weekend. Somebody's going to come up and whisper. on
Oh,
my ear
yeah,
or
I
something,
can't
and
wait.
try to make
You're
it
making
best.
2 exhibition runs. You will have somebody in your window or in your helmet telling you how to drive.
Somebody's gonna come run and be like, "Hey, dude, your toter's leaking out of the shitter tank."
Shitter.
Shitter's full.
I may have to actually put my face mask
Yeah, I
down now.
probably
Never put it
recommend
down.
that. Yeah.
Oh, are you a face mask up kind of guy?
Oh yeah.
If you talk to
Ow.
if you talk to Brian McDonald, he would highly recommend leaving your visor up for your first pass in the Mini. That
No
that
shit.
didn't go poorly for him at all.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that in a minute.
No,
Yeah,
I don't
do
think
that.
so.
Just we might heckle you, but we do care about safety on this show, even with Tyler on here. Keep the visor down.
Chase a little
And make
too
sure
much.
those
Yeah.
belts are tight. That's all I
Yeah.
can say. I see a lot of these guys claiming on these pro stocks, and the belts are kind of loose. If you want to say that, don't do that in a mini rod.
No, like seriously,
As
whenever
tight
that,
as you can get them, boy.
well, that thing is like where you can't breathe.
And if you can't get it, get somebody to pull them tight for you.
They're blowing this all out of proportion, Peter. You're going to be just fine.
Peter, get that thing.
Well, I mean, I'll take Ty, however they work for Tiger when he lays it over and keeps
Just-
him in it.
just
It's
fine.
fine.
Just
It's,
Get them so tight you can't move. Adam's dad told me that when I bought my first mini rod from him. So
That all sarcasm aside, that is good advice. But I mean,
That's
I'm sure
good.
when you run your drag car, I mean, let's be honest, that is significantly more dangerous than any of this mini rod
yeah.
nonsense. So I
You
mean,
got poured seat though. You probably got a poured seat in there, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
you
gonna
got a
say.
poured seat in the mini rod or no?
My dad did that one year.
got a poor
Oh.
seat.
Yeah. It's got.
Poor seat, not
I
poor.
saw the seat in that mini rod. There wasn't very many holes or area for a hole not to be drilled in it.
Yeah.
It looked like.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
What advice do I get from 3 experts?
I am no expert, sir. I've screwed up so much stuff in this class. I don't know how many spindles I've.
Well, I've seen you win enough times to call bullshit on
Yeah.
that.
Peter, I
I
like it.
mean-
We normally don't get questions out of our guests, and we have to ask. So I appreciate you firing at us. I wouldn't call myself an expert. I don't think any of us would, but I would just if it doesn't feel right, let off the throttle. That's my advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If honestly, if it gets on a wild ride, even if by some miracle you can back out of it and try to make a pass, you're not going to do worth a shit
They're
anyway.
gonna win.
If I have some of my biggest regrets watching back at all my low light videos of me looking like a complete jackass out on the track, I'm like trying to backpedal it and everything, and I'm just like, even if by some miracle I salvage that, like I'm not gonna do worth the crap. Like I'm not even gonna get top 10. So I'm like, what the hell am I trying to do out there? You know what I mean? So like, if it goes poorly, it's gonna go poorly and just be done with it. And as much as you think you're gonna be able to not jam on the throttle, I feel like you're almost better off letting go of the throttle if the front end's going to slam down, because what my favorite thing to do is slam the front end down, then the sled hits me, and then you go whop and rack on the throttle again. And I mean, it's
bad
great
news.
for videos, and that's about it. But
Yeah,
There you go.
my advice would be a couple things. One, don't turn the wheel. Like, don't put a lot of wheel
Now-
input into
now,
it.
Peter, you're going to need to turn the wheel to pull out onto the track, though.
Yes, but I'm saying going down the track, if they start drifting, don't crank the wheel, because when it comes down, if it does, it never end up good. There's more of a chance of biting in and all that stuff. The other thing is, it's a 2,000-pound vehicle, not a 10,000-pound vehicle. The amount of pressure that you have to put on the brakes is slightly different than a pro stock.
A little goes a long way.
Little goes.
It will
That's been
turn.
one of my thought process things about using the brakes down the track. And
Yeah,
all that
it's-
kind of stuff. And now that I'm going to be thinking about all night if I'm going to even use the left brake or not.
So if you're going to drive mini rod, you will use both of them. Trust me.
Yeah, If you ever get on a pass where you don't touch the brakes, you're either one or you're probably dead last.
Yeah, exactly. That's an amazing statement because that's pretty freaking true.
That's very true.
That's very true.
I like the thought of you drifting to the right in your pro stock and you jamming on the clutch with your left foot, thinking it's going to turn you after too many passes in your mini rod.
He's going to roll a pro stock.
People are like, "Holy shit! Did you break drive line?" You're like, "No, I thought it was my left brake over there."
I could switch it around like the Connies have, put my clutch in the center for the tractor,
the
brakes the outside.
There you go. There you go.
What other questions you got for us, Peter? I like that. You can fire away at us.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. Okay, going back. What if you guys could pick something else to drive outside of a Mini? What's your top thing?
Of a pulling vehicle specifically?
Yeah.
I mean,
light super stock.
I feel like I got to go unlimited tractor just because it's what I started out driving, and they're cool.
Unlimited for sure.
Yeah.
I would pick a light super stock, I think.
But after unlimited, I think a super stock diesel four-wheel drive looks pretty cool to drive.
That does look like a challenge. Those guys drive it out further than anybody, no question.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're right up there with the mini rods in the standpoint of like they almost have more power than what they can use, but they just weigh so much. People don't think about it from that standpoint. But like
tires are small.
Yeah, the amount of power that they have compared to what they can use, it's a badass class to watch for sure.
We may have asked. We've had Craig Dickey and Van Hazley on here, right? I think they don't run those things that hard. Do they have the same situation with pull-offs or running twice? Or
aluminum blocks?
Yeah.
That's right. They do have aluminum blocks. You're right, Adam. Forgot about that.
It does help.
That's a big game changer.
That is exact. You're right. I didn't think that.
Peter, how'd you come up with this hurricane/storm related name trend? Because what are the names it's hurricane category this? I mean, how did that?
Category 1 and Little Hurricane. I didn't have either a name. RJ's texted me. I got to have a name for these tractors. What are they doing?
Oh, he put you on the spot.
So he shipped 2 names out in the middle of it. Rob Russell wanted me to name one of them Hell on Wheels, and I couldn't think of what he told me he wanted me to name, and I spaced that. So that one will be the next time. But so grew up and still live on Hurricane Road.
Nice.
Okay.
Really? That's cool.
So when I started the trucking company, it was just a Hurricane. It was actually Hurricane Express to begin with, and now it's called Hurricane Specialized. But anyways, yep, that's what it was. We actually, like where I live, they called Hurricane Alley way back when, before people knew what a tornado was.
Yeah, you're probably right down the road. Have you had any of those fun storms this year? We've been getting a lot of rain.
Oh yeah, we got another 2 inches last night that I guess allowed me to go pulling for the weekend.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, hopefully you got a pretty good insurance policy and all that stuff sitting behind you there.
Yeah, I do. It's the thing that makes you sick. So you got to buy insurance and plates, but it's part of it, I guess.
Yeah,
so.
Indeed it is. Well, did Chase or somebody warn you about our 2 truths, 1 lie segment?
I think Allie said something about it, but I don't know that I sent her.
No. You didn't have to send anything. So this is the portion of the show where you're going to tell us 3 statements. 2 of them are going to be truths. 1 of them is going to be a lie, and it is going to be up to us 3 to pick out which one is the lie.
Okay. So let's tell you 3 statements.
3 statements.
Let's see. I graduated from Purdue University.
Okay.
My oldest son is 18, and let me think what else I could tell you.
This is definitely the lie.
No,
I don't know. I got tricked last
in the phrase of something I can tell you, it has to be true.
Let's see. I graduated in 1998 from high school.
I'm going to say the middle one is a lie.
Middle son's not 18.
I don't know. I'll have to mix it up a little bit. I don't think he graduated from Purdue.
Well, I don't have a son, so it's the middle one.
I was going to say.
Yeah, my air compressor just kicked on.
Oh,
sorry.
that's what that was. I figured
Adam
had a CNC running over there.
No, you know what? I will say this, fellas. And I'll throw him some shade here. My Eaton air compressor isn't that loud.
Yeah, you got to get hooked up with Matt Kane from Eaton
No
Compressors.
kidding.
Well, I tell you what, that's actually a little old John Deere compressor I had laying over here by these doors. I was airing something up and forgot how to
Oh,
plug
okay.
in.
We'll
So.
give you a pass then. You need a nice 10 horse.
But I still take some information on that.
Dude, they're
So,
good. I got a screw.
Tell
blow
Matt the
screw.
No Practice Podcast sent you for a 10-horse, 3-phase rotary screw cabinet compressor. You can
Oh yeah,
You want the No
nice.
Practice Podcast discount.
Yeah, you can talk on
There
your
you go.
cell phone standing next to the air compressor building 100 psi plus of pressure.
Never
No
lose.
shit.
Never will lose. I have one for my CNCs and stuff, and it ramps in and out, so there's no big demand on whatever. This is an ad read, I guess, but
It really is, yeah.
Yeah, you get paid
No,
for
we
this.
don't actually.
no. But they are good. I'll give you.
That's my cleanest
I just got another one from me. It's a 7.5 horse or 5 horse, just the old piston style, and he built some silencer for it. It's dead quiet too. I mean,
Yeah.
all his air compressors. I think he's got a patent on the silencing of it or something.
Yeah, Matt's always been a real nice, big fan of the show, always supportive and kind words. So we gotta throw it back to him. And we've got one at our work. We got a 30-horse screw cabinet compressor.
Oh shit, that's a big one.
Oh yeah, she's a
massive.
big unit, and yeah, it's got like a VFD on it, so like it ramps up as the need's there, and then it just goes down, disengages, and just sits there and idles, so you don't have
That's
the
what
huge
mine does.
power usage when it starts up and everything. So
Yeah, they're badass.
Peter, we've talked a lot, obviously, about Farley this weekend. What's your plans for pulling this summer in general? Like, where you got to chase points or?
I don't really know. I didn't really sign up for anything. I think the last few years we've run with the pro, some NTPA stuff. I probably will go, as far as the minis go, probably do some PPL stuff because I think that's what Nelson's will do, and they're going to help me with them. If I can't go, I'm sure they'll be taking them.
will Tanner Nelson
So,
be
I
driving?
think Tanner is probably, he may be sitting in it right now.
Oh, he's
I don't
already
know,
sent me a
but
picture on Snapchat.
Yeah,
He's there, got the starter
Yeah.
sitting on it and everything.
Yeah. So I told him he could run it some, and Jeremy as well, or Misty, whoever. It's
Matt,
fine by
what
me,
does
so.
Tanner weigh? Do you know? Is he even
know.
100
Probably
pounds?
Yeah, I'd say 120 pounds, maybe.
What do you weigh, Peter?
About
Oh yeah,
180.
you're going to be in good shape.
You'll be all right.
Oh yeah.
It's funny. I asked Rob Russell if he'd drive it. He said, "Fuck no, I'm too fat."
What do you think, old Rob Russell in the Workhorse Pro? What do you think Rob weighs?
I don't know. I don't want to say. He's lost some weight, so he looks good.
He's
That'd
been
be
doing it a
sweet
long
to see him in a
time.
mini.
Yeah, he's been doing it a long time.
Who would be your top? Who would be your top pick to run a mini out of just anybody?
Oh,
Pulling
Tanner
wise, I
Nelson
guess.
coming in here at 115. That's not bad.
Oh, there we go. See, there it
Honestly,
goes.
if I feel like even though Tanner hasn't ran a mini, the fact that he has a huge front end advantage, he knows pulling, I would be pretty tempted to throw him in the seat. And Bruce and I were even joking about if Bruce wasn't healthy enough to run his tractor at Farley, I was like, hero or zero, maybe you should just put Tanner Nelson in the seat, like rather than my fat ass out
you
there.
go.
So I think he's gonna have me drive it. But it was considered and discussed because I mean Bruce is probably easily 215, and every time we've wrecked that tractor, it hasn't gone well. It's because there's not enough weight on the nose. And you want to talk about a game changer, racking 100 pounds on the nose of that thing, it is going to be a completely different animal. Like
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to go on a diet between now
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Farley,
In the
I guess,
words
so.
of Wayne Purser, chop off 10 pounds of dick and you'll be good to go.
I'd rather give away arm.
There you go.
Oh man.
That's funny.
What about you, Peter? If you had to pick a mini rod driver to drive your pro stock or a pro stock driver to drive your mini rod, and you can't pick the Sheltons because they've actually driven both, what would your selections be?
I'd pick Brad Moss to drive the mini
Okay.
rod for sure. And I'm sure he might get a chance this summer sometime. Mini rod driver to drive the pro. I don't know. Tyler, let's let you.
Seems like a
that?
horrible decision, but all right. Yeah, I like the thought, Peter, of you getting 2 minis and you just taking these pro stock guys and dropping them in this thing from time to time, because I feel like you're almost going to be like a drug dealer where you're like, hey, get a little taste of this over here. Yeah, that was pretty fun, wasn't it? Next thing you know,
it's like, I actually have a third one I'm going to sell you.
Yeah,
You
I got a pretty hot deal on one in the trailer. You can run tomorrow. Roll cage is certified.
Yeah,
Yeah.
turnkey.
I like it.
Oh, I think it's secretly everybody wants to have
Yeah.
one, you know.
Oh
I'd like
yeah.
to think so.
It's just
Secret, everybody wants to
never
have
talk
one,
to
but
anybody.
only cool guys have 3 of them, right?
yeah. Well, see, there you go.
Can't get, one
Maybe
isn't
get
enough.
Yeah,
another
you don't have a Scooby Doo van in your background, Adam.
Yeah,
You know?
that's true.
I do have a Scooby Doo van, and you know.
Yeah,
I
you
do.
actually do. That
It's
is,
just not your background.
that is true.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll convert the van to haul a
There
mini
you
in.
go.
Now
You're already
Ooh,
fitting well,
big
Peter.
fan.
You feel like a glove. I think this is your new future.
it could be. It might be. I don't know.
Might wanna
We'll
put
see
a
what
tire
happens.
rack
I'm pretty
on it.
excited about it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
have a
Are you
top.
gonna learn? Are you gonna learn how to grind tires, Peter, or do you have some sort of patsy lined up to do that for you?
I don't know. I guess
Tanner
or buy
did.
enough of them, get somebody else to
Tanner
do
did.
them. I don't know what I'm gonna do there. Tanner probably. I'll trade him for grinding
Tanner,
tires.
It'll
for
fill
more.
in his mustache a little bit more with that rubber on his face.
That's right. I definitely would like to.
That
know
is
how,
that
I
is the
guess, so.
only downside to the class. I feel like that is the worst part about it. That, and you could destroy your equipment in one pass. But I mean, that's kind of everything. So, yeah, grinding tires sucks. But I mean, we don't like to
Yeah.
talk about that part. You know, it's just pretend it's not there.
Right.
Well, how many sets of tires do you guys each keep? For
We
each
can't tell you
tractor?
all this shit, Peter.
Well, see, I'm pretty
on now.
simple. I only have 2 sets for each tractor. So
We've probably got 10 or 12 sets between the 2 tractors.
I think
Yeah,
4
see.
sets per tractor is what I try
see,
to do.
my dad had this terrible thing of if we ever gathered enough stuff to have spares, then it just developed into another vehicle. So we don't really have a bunch of spares. But whatever, you know. You'll kind of figure out once you find it, and I think somebody said this last week, maybe like Theobald said it, like you get a good set of tires, you want to take care of them. So
Yeah.
a lot of people can bolt stuff on and continue to run, but I think everybody's got their favorite set of tires they like to run, and it's like starting over every time you get a new set. So I got a couple new sets, and it's like, yay, you know, right?
I'm with you there. I feel the same way about the pros, and kind of they get to that point where you made a bad pass, you're like, yep, time for them to go on to the next
Absolutely.
set. So.
What do you think of that whole deal with the hole shots, the METOS, all the different tire combinations in the pros? How do you feel about?
You wish they would have just left it at 1. I think that's been a huge cost for a lot of pro stock guys changing tires all the time.
So that
has it gotten to the point now to where like you run a set of tires a year and you need to get rid of them?
Oh yeah,
easy, right?
Should they cap that and say there are no other manufacturers allowed in? Everybody must run this tire.
I don't know. That takes away from competition, I guess.
I agree.
I always said if they wanted to do that, like if METOS wanted to be the tire of that class, then they have to put forth X amount of money.
Yeah, if someone comes
so.
with that money,
Yeah,
I
I-
don't think anything's on the
I
table.
agree.
Right.
Would be
If they would have just stuck with Firestone, it'd have been all right.
Although I will say the unlimited class, since the METOSs have been
Oh,
introduced, have changed. It had to have changed the pro stock class, didn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely. I mean, you talk about changing front end weight for 400, 500, 600 pounds because of the tires.
Wow,
So.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's a 20th of your weight. That's
And I mean, there's some power gains there
Sure.
along that same timeline, but it's definitely the tires have helped for sure.
for sure. Well, Peter, do you know, are they going to let you run at the end of the mini rod class or at the end of the night?
I think they said I follow you whenever that is.
Okay,
So.
wonderful.
Just kidding. No, at the end of the class, I'm pretty sure just to
See how you
to
stack up. Well, cool. I look
Yeah.
forward to getting my ass kicked by it twice. So it'll be a good time.
I'll try that way. I can make an ass of myself at the end and not right in the middle of the show. Or
I'm really
whatever.
anxious. That, like I said, that dirt has the potential to be very, very good. and prepared properly, man. I think they tried last year, one night it was really wet and the next night it was really dry. I know Brad wants to do whatever he can to make that the best event he can.
Yeah, he knew that he had improvements to make before that show was over, for sure. Sometimes we miss our setups as pullers, and unfortunately track builders do too, but they just have to grin and bear it the whole night instead of for just 15 seconds. So
do they say what the pull order is class-wise?
No, we'll find out at the drivers meeting.
It'll go based off of you'll come to find out, being a mini rod driver, whenever you come around and you hear of a class that's going to be pulling in front of you, you're like, oh, that's not good. Or, hey, I wish it would go. It's the classes that really don't leave the starting line that hard and they don't tear up the dirt, and then they do in a mini rod that becomes to be really fun.
Yeah.
Trying to figure that out. So
I will say, though, with you pulling later in the class, you'll have a chance to watch how other people are driving and learn what the track will take. I would always rather have a later number than an early number, so you're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I'm sure.
You'll be good. You'll do good.
Send it.
And tighten your seatbelt.
Usually, it's become a trending topic with people that get into this class. Like, they get in the seat and they have instant success. So
yeah,
I'm sure you're going to do just fine. Really do.
Well, don't jinx me.
I'm not trying to. I'm just saying, like, you got the right people on board. You'll make a good.
You picked the right tractor to buy. Let's be honest, because you got that sucker turnkey, right? Motor, tires, everything.
Yeah.
I mean, shit.
Yep.
Did he give up all his old tires?
I was gonna. Did he give you a notebook that says this is what you run where?
No, unless Jeremy has it. I don't know.
Jeremy probably kept that. He's like,
they probably kept the old tires too. Damn.
Yeah, Peter's like, yeah, Brian said it was going to come with 4 sets of tires, and Jeremy's like, yeah, they're all brand new, sitting right here. Not a single pass on a single tire. What are the chances?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
Boy, I got a deal for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt so bad for you. I just went and gave you new tires.
It's a little welcome gift to the class. So, well, gentlemen, what do you think? We're coming up on. We're over 2.25 hours already.
Season mode. We're.
I might actually have to try to start getting loaded tonight or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So, Peter, it was a pleasure meeting you tonight for one, and I appreciate you coming on No Practice Podcast. Premier Pro Stock Puller, now fellow competitor. Cheers to you, and cheers to everyone this weekend. And as a reminder, the loser between Footloose, Have No Mercy, and my tractor vibrator will be waxing their legs. Is that right? Or are you going to change it again, Tyler?
That is correct. We're waxing our legs. I didn't change anything, Chase. Shut up.
Well, the fans voted. It's all about the fans. So, cheers, everyone. See you this weekend.
See y'all this weekend,
Peter. Watch the live stream if you want to tune in. Thank you. We'll be back 2 weeks.
See ya.
It's almost time for the big. That's a wrap.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the No Practice Podcast.
Have a good one. Bye.
Stay tuned for the next episode, where we guarantee there still won't be any practice. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.